All right. All right, it's 6 p.m. We'll get the meeting started. We'll start with the flag salute and invocation by Pastor Paul Rooks.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, and Lord, we lift this meeting up to you. We ask God that you would lead, guide, and direct, give wisdom, give strength, and Lord, we just pray that these decisions will be made in a manner that will consider you and all that you are and all that you've done for us. We pray, Lord, and we thank you for our leaders, for their constant work each and every week to be diligent about our needs here in our city. We just thank you for loving us and for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Paul. See, Diane, he can do it all right.
All right, we just need to add one thing to the agenda. That's waiving of assessments on a piece of property in town. Remember the address, Mark? We'll always put it under the first thing under new business.
Yes, this property is located at 11 North Holbrook.
All right. All right. Yeah. All right. Item number 6, consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda?
Yes. I have a question on. Can you hear me now? I have a question on Highland Auto Parts. I'd like to see that invoice. I'd like for someone to pull that. I want to pull this item from this agenda. I also have a question on page 13 with Core and Main LP is a 8 by 4 inch tapping saddle and 4-inch gate valve for $1,171. It's my understanding that we're not pushing 4-inch lines. All 4-inch lines should be replaced. I'm just wondering about the advisability of putting a $1,100 4-inch gate valve in, if that fits anywhere in the scheme of things. I also have a question on the legal fees for Nuss and Farmer. I'd like to see a breakdown on that, $2,978. On page 18, we have machinery and equipment, a 7.5 horsepower air compressor for $3,578. I'd like to see the invoice on that. Other than that, I don't have any other questions.
You know, I will also say that I had quite a few questions on the expense report, and 2 of them matched yours, Pete, was the Core and Main. I wanted to know where that tap and saddle went, and was that just like a new tap and saddle, something that we're doing new, or was that for repair that had been damaged? You know, because it's just not usual we would see that on there for an expense. And again, as well, I questioned the air compressor. I don't know. I think that went to when I seen it, I think that went to the sewer treatment plant. Is that right? Water treatment plant. Water treatment. And the reason I questioned it because it was 7.5 horsepower compressor for $35.78. I buy a lot of air compressors for my business, and that seems pretty expensive for an air compressor for 7.5 horse. So, is there? Would Michael know the answer to that? Yes. Is he here? No. Okay. I've taken a note for that. Where did it go? What was it for? And why?
That's the 8x4 saddle there on page 13. That's what
Page
you were
8,
speaking to.
yeah,
right?
13 was where did that
Yep.
go, and page
Yep.
18 was the compressor, Eaton
Also,
compressor fabrication.
I-
It may be a
compressor,
specialized
page
compressor for all I know.
I wrote step Y and what for.
Right. We also spoke today, Mark and I did for a little bit about some of the erratic phone bills that you may have seen on there, and we've got some questions being answered about them. We have some contract cleaning that I think we're going to get rid of after the first of the year. Is that right, Mark? With the that we're going to talk about.
Centos. We talked
Centos.
about that. Yes. I need to evaluate whether there's a need for all those expenses in Centos. It's $500 and some odd dollars a month. I don't know exactly why that's there and what they're all needing. I know there's carpets, but
Right.
I believe one of the things we can do is we purchase carpets and we vacuum them.
Right. Right.
So
That's what we discussed probably in our personal home. I've never rented a welcome mat, so I don't know if I would rent a welcome mat here and spend the people's money doing that. I think that was one of those things that came in with previous administration, and with cutting the budget to put more money on the streets and everywhere else, I think that's just one more way we can cut.
I think that was also, sorry to interject, that was something that was addressed a few months ago by Susan. Was our Centos bill, and it was dropped significantly at that point in time
I think they also
to the $500, which at that I don't remember exactly all the details on that, but Mark, that would be something too. I know that was brought up, and that was something that she had addressed at that point.
okay, I wasn't aware of that, but I still I'm trying to dive into all kinds of bills.
Absolutely.
We're not on this topic right now, but I've already eliminated 6 cell phone bills for about $180. Some of those were connections for tablets, the iPads that people don't need. So I think every dollar is important, and so I scrutinize these, and I highlighted a bunch of things before Commissioner Allen came in today, and then when he came in, we went through a number of these things. It's very helpful. I was unable to get to our accounts payable, Miss Goldston, saying it well, Guilfoyle, thank you, there you go, to be able to get specific answers and to pull bills. So I'm happy to pull any of the bills. She's not here tonight to pull them, so I don't know how to go in and pull them in there, but I can get you those answers tomorrow. And I will get you those answers tomorrow if that's okay.
Okay, I missed one. I have one more question.
Sure.
On page 16.
Yep.
We have 2 4-inch Mach 10 water meters. I'd like to know where those are going or have gone, but that's a huge, a normal water meter is 3/4 inch,
Right.
or 1 inch or whatever, and we've got 2 4-inch water meters for $5,108. I would like to know where those went to.
Yeah, and that's what they spoke of last meeting. Some of those are in the industrial park or what have you for the bigger taps, and
Yep.
so they can at least tell us where they're at. One other one also, Mark, when we're checking on things, and we did have a good visit today, C&B equipment on page 11. I'd never heard of C&B equipment, but it was supply and install new coupling insert pads and a line. 1191.63. And
Yes, I've got that down here. What truck did that go to? I don't know. And we want to know what truck and why, correct?
yeah, it was an alignment and an insert pads and a line 1191.63 from C&B equipment. I don't know whether that was Public Works or who it was. Okay. We'll find that out too.
The account number 540. No, okay.
All right. Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Are we pulling those invoices?
I don't mind pulling the legal one. I have the invoice for the motor. I don't know if you can see it on my phone. I asked for it Friday and happened to get it, so I don't know. But the attorney bill, I don't think it was against Bob. They're supposed to get us some information, Bob, on why we were responsible for that and not the other person because it was on the grant.
Well, it's because it's our grant.
Yeah.
That that's the thing, it's our grant.
Right.
We therefore have to get involved because we're the entity that's on the hook.
So it, and just specify that, just to specify, it's not our grant. We didn't give the money. We are just having the money run through us, right? We're just the administrator of the grant
Responsible,
for administrating.
yes, and for answering questions and getting things in the right columns and stuff so that the people that gave us the money, I'm sorry,
Okay.
are satisfied that everything's accounted for.
And I guess on Josh's,
It's got nothing to do with the liability of the contractor.
So all the charges were approved by Mark, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's as you might imagine, it's like a lot of things. It didn't go as smoothly as everybody had hoped, and there were problems and there were contractor issues, and then it's still got to be, in our opinion, we're not on the hook for some of the damages that are being talked about, and so we were looking into that. Is it our problem? Whose problem? Is it the grant's problem? And we're honing in on it should be between some other insurance companies and not ours.
is there a chance that we can recoup that money? Being that I hate that this money is just passing through us. We're just helping bring it from the state
Sure.
to the individual, and now it's cost the citizens of Fort Scott $3,000. Is there a possibility that through insurance they can help us recoup this money?
I wouldn't think so because they're different issues. In other words, insurance would be responsible for the liability of defective work. This has nothing to do with that.
Is this our fault then?
No, but it's
But we're paying
our
for it.
responsibility because we administer the grants. And ultimately, the state's got to be satisfied or we won't get any more grants.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Mark's. Mark McCoy. Yeah. His signature. What's that? I entertain a motion. I don't know. You have a motion, Pete?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
As it is.
Yes, I
I'll-
think
I'll-
I mean,
I'll
based
sec-
on that, I understand. I
I'll
can
second.
understand the grant application process and the
I'll-
issues that.
I'll second it.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
No.
Kevin Allen,
No.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right. Public comments. Michael Wheat.
Good evening. Since my last appearance was not worthy of the minutes of the meeting, I want to reread for you Kansas Statute 12-825D, just the applicable portions to the city of Fort Scott. And it's labeled waste or waterworks, fuel, power, and lighting. In any city of the first class owning a waterworks, the revenue derived from the sale and the consumption of water shall not be paid out or dispersed except for the purposes of operating, renewing, or extending the plant or distribution system from which the revenue was derived. The payment of interest on outstanding bonds issued for the construction, extension, purchase thereof, and the payment of the salaries of the employees, salaries of employees. It goes on, but it had nothing to do with, as the minutes stated, the transfer of monies, period. It was the derivation of revenues from our waterworks and how it's being spent and directed. That's what I'm questioning in our budget that's been submitted to the state. Another comment, and I announced this at the county this morning, the Law Enforcement and Fire Protection Advisory Board that I performed at the county, received a $1,500 grant to begin a GED program for inmates at the Bourbon County Detention Center. With the few caveats, they have to be residents for 60 days, or look like they're going to be resident for 60 days. Their adjudication, the courts are so efficient, Bob, right? So they're probably going to be there long enough to graduate from high school. They have to have a more likely than not possibility of being released into Bourbon County. So when you get out of jail, Bourbon County, you're going to at least have a high school diploma if you don't have one now. That's the goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Lori Hickson.
Hello. As you said, I'm Lori Hickson. I own and operate an in-home daycare out of my home at 612 South Wilson. I've done daycare for 23 years, licensed, done through all the hoops, ring all the bells, all of that. But I'm having an issue with my alleyway. My playground is right outside the back of the house, and it goes all the way out to the, well, it's about 3 feet in from the alley. We live off of 6th Street, so we get a lot of cars, you know, on 6th Street, they move right along on 6th Street. So they'll whip into the alley and fly down the alley. You know, I'm constantly, slow down, please, slow down, please. And I'm not trying to make this personal because there are several cars that I don't know who's driving them or where they live. But there are some teenagers that live across the alley down on the corner. You know, I used to be a teenager, I get it, but you know, I've asked them several times to slow down, and yesterday it happened, and I was like, slow down, and they mouthed back, and I just let them drive on. About 10 minutes later, the dad comes home. So I walked over, and I asked him, I said, could I ask you a favor? I said, could you ask your daughters to slow down when they're coming through the alley? Well, speed limit's 15 miles an hour, they're not doing anything wrong. I said, okay, could they just please slow down a little bit? I'm responsible for these children that are in my care. It takes a split second for something to go wrong when someone is driving a car, swerve a dog that runs out in front of her or whatever, and I'm just concerned that something's going to happen to one of the kids. You know, they hit the fence, or if a parent's picking their children up, and we all know how quickly a child can just be right there 1 second, and, you know, it's our job to watch that. But things happen. I just want my kids, my daycare kids, and any other kids that happen to be in the alley, whether they're just walking through the alley or, you know, live down the street. But, you know, in a perfect world, we could put a sign up that says, slow, children playing. But I don't know as whether or not that's going to make a difference. I mean, people speed all the time. And, you know, it got unpleasant with the gentleman, you know, across the alley. And I even went back last evening and said, sir, I don't want animosity. I said, I don't want this to end up being a feud. This isn't personal. It's nothing against your daughters. I just want to keep the kids safe. And when I gave him an example, you know, if the kids throw a ball out and it spooks your daughters when they're driving and they swerve. Just, I mean, the odds of that happening probably are slim to none, but there's always that risk. And his comment was, I need to watch my kids better. So, you know, at that point, I just kind of turned around and walked back home. I mean, there was no reasoning. There was no, you know. But anyway, I just feel like there needs to be something done because they, like I said, they turn off at 6th Street. And it's not just them. It's other people. And just want my kids safe. That's it. So I don't know what options are. I want to just throw some sandbags out there and strip them across the alley.
Roofing nails always work well too. But we visited with this a little bit about this a little bit today because you had called Travis and I think Travis, if you'd like to speak on it just a little bit, I don't think there's any posted speed limit to an alley. So yeah, you may have to come back up, but we'll get some answers here real quick.
Right. So after I talked with Mike, who I went over and drove down the alley, they've got a nice alley, and there's not a lot of natural speed bumps in it.
That's what I said.
So,
That's unusual.
So, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a
Maybe we could add those.
But yeah, their concern is, folks going too fast down the alley. We don't have a speed limit for alleys other than reasonable and prudent, which is kind of where it's not posted. It could be, fall into a reckless driving or reasonable and prudent violating that. The 15 miles an hour, I don't know where that came from because I've never seen that before.
Well, I think we talked a little bit that we can create an ordinance that would put a speed limit on alleys.
You don't even need an ordinance. We've been through this on parking and stuff. If you designate an area and say, hey, the parking or the speed limit is going to be 5 miles an hour, they have authority to do that without an ordinance. Say in that alley, it's 5 miles an hour.
And sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's done if that's what you want to do.
In the parking.
Yeah.
So now, and one thing that's going to do is it's going to create, we're setting a precedent, as you would call it.
Oh,
So
sure.
now, when they get a 5 mile an hour alley, and then when Joe across the town says, "Well, I want a 5 mile an hour alley,"
But
I guess
most of the alleys are like the one. No
3.
disrespect to commissioners.
3 mile an hour.
Like mine.
Right.
Nobody's going to do more than 5 anyway.
Well, and this, like you said, this is not a common problem that we're seeing is speeding in alleys. So I wonder if we don't think about it.
I think it's something you've probably dealt with before, it's something you can probably handle, you and Mark. I think it could probably come up. You said we don't need a resolution or nothing, Bob,
just
so.
The commission, he's saying.
authorize it. Just say, hey.
We have to authorize
Have you had these problems in the
not
past?
so much on alleys, and then like I said, they have a nice alley over there. And there's again, I mean, that's.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that I don't go 5 or 10 miles an hour down any alley in town anyway. Between 5 and 10, but this one I can see where you're not going to be vibrating out of a pickup
Right.
down that one.
And I could say, I think 10 mile an hour would probably be sufficient to where we're not writing tickets for speeding an 8 and a 5. That would be a little.
Right.
I'd hate to come to court for running 8 mile an hour and 5 mile an hour zone, but it would be me that got caught. So I think if we could write that, maybe that every alley is 10 mile an hour.
Yeah, you could do that.
I don't.
Yeah, I think we could do that.
It's up to you guys.
Is that Travis, do you have an idea? You probably know better what speed limits are good in alleys, and I don't know if you have a suggestion of.
10's a lot better than 15.
Yeah.
He drove 15 this morning and he
Yeah.
said,
Just as.
just to see,
Right.
he says, that's moving. He said, and there's a huge difference just from 15 to 10.
That's beautiful.
Right.
Well, I think we try it out and then we see if we have a lot of
You can always
backlash.
change it.
Yeah.
I hate putting signs up.
Would there be a posted sign?
That's what I was saying.
Just so people know, or, I could make a sign and put one up, but they're not good, you know what I mean?
can't do that.
I do vinyl, but it's not gonna cut it.
That's a question for Travis. I don't think we want to start putting signage in alleys there again.
Or even just the children playing or something,
Can legally,
I don't
Bob,
know
can they legally put their own sign up that says children playing or a 10 mile an hour sign? Does that get them
Not
in?
really.
I was gonna say, I
No, it's
wondered
a
about that.
public road. And so it's
You
our
could put a children
response.
playing on the side of your garage.
On the side of your garage or something.
I could even put it on fence. Well, the thing is, they're well aware, so,
Well, I think what this does is it gives you reason to call and say, hey, this activity's still going on.
Okay.
Could you set somebody over here to monitor it? And then they have that option as the police to say, we have a problem over there. We'll set somebody over there.
Well, and I'm not suggesting, there he is, Travis. No, you said, I'm not suggesting that Travis sit on the alley, but you could always sit on the alley at the appropriate times. And whether there's any posting or not, there's such a thing as basic speed. As you're traveling at a speed that is greater than reasonable for the conditions. And the conditions are alleys are small. There are kids in the alley. and you therefore have to go slow as you can.
So
Right.
in order to enforce it, we don't have to they don't have to be noticed.
Good question.
Well, I'll make the motion to make all alleyways 10 mile an hour.
Second. Thank
Lean
you.
over, yes,
Very,
Lori.
very much. Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. Thank you. All right, old business. Consideration to repeal ordinance 2563, section 12.12.070, pavement, approval of ordinance number 3587.
You approved this about a month ago verbally. This is the actual ordinance that
It's posted.
takes that section out. There's 3 different ordinances there. Bob's office prepared that ordinance to repeal.
I'm not understanding what you said, Diane.
He can't hear you, Danny.
This was approved about a month ago. I think Jason Dickman stood up and talked to you about it. And this is the actual ordinance that eliminates and repeals that section of that ordinance for those 3 different things. On the pavement, on the unimproved street, and on the replacement of materials.
Yeah, looks exactly the same as it was here
Yes,
a month ago. So.
right.
Well, I'd like to comment on all 3 of those ordinances. Those ordinances are they currently in effect because we haven't put them in force, or what is the status on those ordinances as we speak?
Right now, they are still currently in effect. When this is published in Saturday's paper, they will not be in effect.
Well, I'd like to take exception to all 3 of those ordinances. Right now, we do have a pavement excavation ordinance and unimproved street procedure ordinance and a replacement of materials exception ordinance. As soon as we put this in the paper or whatever it is, we no longer have that protection. We have 0 ordinance that protects us on our streets. I realize that we have standards and procedures, and I think that's the attempt here, is to make the 2 standards and procedures and the current ordinance, make them into one. But as it stands, we don't have anything to replace the ones we're taking out. And I object to doing that because it's going to leave us wide open. Anything that we do, any contractor does, we have no way to enforce the current ordinance. I'm not saying that we shouldn't replace the ordinance, but we should have something in place to replace the ordinance before we delete these ordinances.
Jason, your thoughts on that?
Well, what we talked about whenever that was voted on and when Jason spoke was the fact that we ran into such an issue with the fact that contractors don't look at city ordinances, and this is not something that is done regularly in other cities. So it's not a normal process, correct, for them to go into a city's ordinances to see if they have something to that effect. They look at those procedures, which is something that you're working on putting in more detail into, so that we're not breaking a law by not going against an ordinance that nobody was aware to look for.
Right.
But that was the summary, sorry, right?
So it's understandable that, if you repeal the ordinances as they are now, the specifications aren't updated. So Mr. Allen's correct in saying, well, now we don't have anything telling them how to do it. However, if you, whether it's you have permits for utility cuts and curb cuts, I presume.
I don't know, Mark. Do you know that answer? Do we got codes? Do we have? We just discussed that today too. Do we have codes that could answer that? Do we have permits for?
Lyle is here and he can do his best to answer that.
Lyle?
Yes, we have, if anybody comes in for excavation, wherever they're cutting, so if they're cutting into the road, they're
Would you speak a little closer?
He
to the
can't hear you
phone,
for
ma'am?
sure.
The excavation permit covers when they're going into the road or curb cut. So, I mean, we tell them to put it back to how it was when they started.
Right. Is there a follow-up on that? I mean, have we got enough manpower that, like, right now with all this fiber going in and everything else, and they're pulling permits, they're telling you where they're working, is there someone that's going around and checking the permittage? Is there somebody that's checking the backfill, that's checking the driveways to make sure they're going back in the proper procedure, the dirt work, make sure there's not gravel turned up in it, not going to go grass?
To be honest with you, we don't have enough manpower to do that.
So if we do this, if we repeal this, am I right? Then we're just throwing it out there like we have no jurisdiction whatsoever in anything. We're just cowboys.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's still the city at large, and you have, especially, you know, as the permits go, if they're briefed on what's expected and they don't meet that, then you have, and in my mind, you have the authority to say, redo it. But like I said, the specs will.
It's the reason that
direct
you have a permit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you nexus to go look, whether it's this week or next week or a month from now.
But as I understand, a lot of this work is just a general permit. They're not permittage on every job. They're just saying we're going to get a permit for this area.
I don't know how to do the
Yeah,
permits.
so can I ask you a question? So Jason, I guess as we had these conversations, I thought that we were repealing those, but the standards were going to be replaced in your modification or review of the specs. Is that not ongoing?
Yeah, that's still ongoing.
But
So I can move.
But the criteria that defined in these ordinances will be defined in the specs. Is that
Correct.
okay? So really, we're not left out there without anything to rely on or to refer people to, or even to evaluate, or what's the word I'm looking for? If you go out and inspect it, it's going to have to meet the specifications that are set.
Right.
Is that, and it also, I guess, it sets standards, but it doesn't set absolute rules in the sense that if they're equivalent processes that meet the standards, that they can be utilized by judgment on the work site.
Right. Yeah. The contractor is never, unless it's specific, like special case, you know, means and methods aren't directed, which is what you're saying. Yeah. How they do it.
So we're not being left naked, so to speak, here. They are going to be filled in by the specs, which need to be done pretty soon.
Correct.
Well, I guess my question is, would it be smart for us to not throw these out until we have the new ones? Like Pete, I think that's what you recommend is saying, let's have the new ones in place before we throw these out.
I think what he's saying is
That's fair.
the new words, but you say the new words are in place on permits, just not in ordinance form.
Right.
So we have
I
the
can
new
work
we have the new ones in place, just not in ordinance form.
Yeah. So and I'll have to look at the permitting and make sure we're not crossing wires.
So you suggest making another ordinance with the new instead of using a standard operating procedure?
No, not an ordinance, just part of this. And I agree. I think if you table the new ordinances to repeal the old, which is all it is repealing the old, right?
Sure.
And, you know, hold that until we have the specs ready.
I think that makes sense.
I think too, these standards and specs that we have, that we've been referring to, also, these were written for the city of Joplin. City of Joplin has no brick streets. City of Fort Scott, most of our streets are brick. And we have nothing in the standards and specs that refer to brick streets. In fact, they called for the standards and specs that the commission adopted 2018 or 19 shows that any existing pavement surface will be replaced with concrete, 8 inches thick, whether it's asphalt or concrete, or in this case, I would assume brick. That's what the standard that we're looking at right now, changing to. So, you know, we're not there yet. We're not where we need to be getting rid of these ordinances. I think we got the cart before the horse, and I'd like to see the ordinance in effect before we drop these.
Yep, so yeah, that's one of the items that we noticed as well about the bricks. So we'll have a separate section talking about how to put the bricks in.
Yeah. Well, right
And
now,
all that stuff, so.
right now, we do have an ordinance protecting the brick streets.
Right.
If we delete that ordinance, then we have nothing.
So we just need a motion to
I'm
table
going to make
this.
a motion to table this till the next meeting till we have the new excavation documents in place.
Will we
I'll
have it
second.
by then?
I was gonna say, yeah, do you have a timeline,
Jason, will next meeting be
Jason?
When's the next meeting?
2 weeks?
Tomorrow.
Could be.
Name that tune.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right, next we have appearances, Sarah Pulliam, 316 South Main.
I am trying to get an extension to renovate my house, to fix it up and bring it up to code so my house can get torn down.
Do you have anything, any plans or anything in place that,
I do. I have already given you guys a copy of this. Code has it.
Say, I don't have that.
did you have anything to add to that besides what's on there?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you want to read it.
It's a construction proposal from CFC Construction in Franklin, Kansas. I guess that's okay to talk about. Sure. It's just a bid is what it is. It's dated on 9/20/21. It says repair flat roof on northeast corner of the house, replace repairs. All windows were needed, install siding, remove back porch roof, and reconstruct sheetrock. That's a lot better. Tape, mud, and texture bathroom, west bedroom. Install flooring to bathroom and west bedroom. And it's pretty fair amount. It says 50% to start with in the weekly draws. I guess it's okay to ask, have you paid the 50% down?
I'm waiting to see, because I've already talked to my bank and got all that squared away. I'm just waiting to see if I need to apply. Because I've already applied for it. I just need to, sign the dotted line. Because there's no point in signing the dotted line and getting that X amount of money if nobody's going to give me a chance.
Have you talked to the county? Because I believe this is on the tax sale. So is there back taxes owed on this?
Yes, but there is over $3,000 in lawn mowing, which does not add up. And that is added into the taxes. And I needed to get that squared away to figure out how much I actually need to pay.
Was that $3,000 from this year or last year?
Lyle, do you know about
and
that?
I got 5 letters, $75, $75, $75, $75 in lawn mowing.
So are you disputing the lawn mowing? Have you been mowing it?
I have hired somebody to lawn mow it, and they're supposed to have been mowing it for me,
But they have not.
and I've been paying them to mow my lawn.
Do you live here in town or do you live?
No, right now I'm in Gerard.
Gerard.
I'm trying to fix my house so I can move into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of us probably promoting saving a house if we have somebody that's there that's wanting to do the right thing, and disputing the lawn mowing services at $75 a piece. That's going to be tough right now because as close as it is, Lyle's seeing that we're probably mowing it. So I don't know how this
Lyle,
year.
Could you talk on that? Was this the first year we've had to mow it, or
No, last year. Last year there was the issue.
Was last year the first year? No.
I have all the way back to 2017, $7,500.
$7,500. Okay, $7,500 in mowing and several $1,000s there. I mean, you're looking at, by the time you got done, about a $30,000 investment.
That's how much I applied for.
Was $30,000. I mean, I don't know as we're going to be able to move too far off the lawn mowing if we've been mowing it and it's been at a reasonable rate. Before, when it was at $300, I'm speaking for me, I would probably be able to move a little bit on the $300 deal rather than the 75.
Right.
We could go back and look at that,
Right.
but I'm not going to move off the $75 if we've been paying people to mow it. We're going to have to ask that you pay for that.
Diane, maybe you have it. Do you know the last time the taxes were paid on this?
I do not,
You know?
but if.
Do you know the
I-
last
I'm
time you
not
paid
sure.
I
taxes?
actually went in last winter and paid in abundance. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount. I don't have that on me.
Do you have that, Lyle? Lyle has it. He also has copies of all the mowing assessments for 2017.
So this is the amount owed is $5,000.
That's rough amount, that's all I think.
While you guys are looking at that, I would ask the question, I mean, the dollar amount is something, but I'm curious why it hasn't been mowed, why we've been having to mow it and somebody isn't taking care of it.
Like I said, I hired somebody to do it, and apparently they weren't doing it, even though I thought they were.
After 5 years?
3.
Three.
Or, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So now we're up to
When
30.
is the bids due back for the demolition?
October 14th, 11 a.m.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm one of the things, and this is probably getting a little off track. I didn't know we were going to bid on those demos yet.
Yeah, that is off track.
Okay. You want me to
They-
stop then?
They had until September 27th by resolution. I checked with Bill Downey, the code supervisor, and he said nothing had been done on any of the structures, so.
But isn't that a
they went
commission?
out. No,
That's not a commission policy to whether we go to demolition or not. I mean, I know
We said
condemnation.
So,
Go ahead.
like we said, the condemnation, we'd give 15 days to go out for condemnation instead of the standard 30 days,
Yeah.
which had
But
been
then it
being
comes
done
back to the
so.
commission and says whether. But then it comes back to the commission most generally and says, let's go ahead
it
and
hasn't been passed.
seek bids.
No, it hadn't been
Because
passed.
as soon as nothing's been done on those properties for that many days, then it would go back out or go
It would go for demolition.
demolition.
Yeah, that's the reason that those public hearings are so important, because it's a cut bait hearing. I mean, it's not, otherwise you don't, the process just goes on and it puts.
What was the bid? What was the price of the bid, Kevin, that you had that she had?
$25,000 for the
And so-
construction.
Yeah, and so how was you plan on paying back the back taxes?
I was gonna go for $30,000 and use 5 of that for taxes, and then the rest, I have been working my tail off to save up some money to pay off the rest. I'm in the nursing field. I deal with everything on a daily. I work extra hours, trying to get what I can to make some extra money to pay up.
Does anyone have anything?
My question would be, since it is on the tax sale, what are we, you know what I mean? If the commission made a decision, say, you know, at what point? I guess my first question is, whenever the bids come back, Diane, those would come to the next commission meeting, is that correct? So at that point, we would be assessing if we're, what bid we're going with. Okay, so I guess my question would say, with going off a precedent of things that we've done before, is at this point, I think not all of the ducks are in a row. I think that's going to be a conversation you're going to have the county to somehow remove it from the tax sale. Josh, is that, am I incorrect
I
there?
mean, she'll have to, I think the only way to remove it is to pay the back taxes.
Okay, so my thought would be something that we have done before is giving a set amount of time. If you're moving forward with the bid process and you start the project and you're moving forward with it, then there wouldn't be any need for us to demolish it. Sorry, my words. Demolish it, to approve to demolish it on the second meeting in October. Is that, am I tracking correctly?
You've already talked to the bank,
Yeah,
and so do you have proof of funding?
I don't have that on me. I've just talked over the phone.
Okay, so I would suggest if we did that, she'd bring back proof of funding to
Right,
you
so
got-
that we would be able to take it off at that
Right.
point. We would have to have proof of funding to understand that it is moving forward in a timely manner, and then I
At the
think
next meeting?
Yeah,
on
we'd
that?
have to have
Yes.
that
Okay, so
by
next Tuesday at 6?
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Two
So
weeks.
2 weeks.
So October 19th would be our next meeting.
All right.
So
we-
that gives you 2 weeks to come up with the to bring the funding
but now,
Till
I mean,
then.
guarantee.
yeah, I mean, there's still mowing assessments on there and everything that I don't feel like we should waive.
Well, the only thing I would suggest is we might be able to make a payment plan or something like that for the mowing assessments.
Is that something that we can do? We can't do it with water and sewer, correct? Is that I'm just trying to head off.
Yeah,
Well,
I
they
think anytime they want to make a payment on a mowing assessment, on a
Okay.
special assessment, they can.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think
I
that's
just wanna make
Yep.
sure I
perfectly
understand that.
legal if you
Yeah,
want
and
to start.
here and here's my deal, and I know Sarah, but you know, it's been 3 years, and you haven't came and tried to do anything until now, and so that's my only concern is, you know, we've been mowing it, paying taxpayers money to mow it, and now you're asking for, you know, more when I know you've talked in the past about fixing it up and nothing's been done. So I know this has been discussed before, and we're back in the same boat 2 years later. So that's my only concern.
My wages got garnished because I got sued for having my air conditioner on a person's property when it was put in 2004, and I moved in 2015, and then suddenly it's an issue. My air conditioner being there way before my time was an issue, and it wasn't grandfathered in because it wasn't a set amount of time, X amount of years later, because it was there for so long it gets grandfathered in.
Same
So-
property?
What?
This property?
Same property. So I got sued for $5,500 some odd dollars, and that came out of my paychecks, every paycheck. And it's been rough.
Yeah, I don't have a problem giving you 2 weeks to get everything finalized
I
and put it
think-
together.
And I also will say before we make a decision, Jim Kimmer asked to speak on agenda items, so I put him down here at this time. So I don't know if you want to get up and speak on this. So if you want to, yeah, do you have anything else to add?
I guess that's it.
Okay,
I was kind of expecting.
all right.
Do we still have our papers?
We gave it back to him.
Okay. No, you're good. I just wanted to make sure you got them back because they were in front of me.
Okay, and
Right.
if you guys need a copy, just let me know. I can fax from my job.
Okay.
Whatever you guys need, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
And if we do decide to do that, I would say get that paperwork as soon as possible.
I will. I'm gonna call him tomorrow on my break.
Sorry if it ends up sounding a little personal. You know, I've been a resident beside that property longer than she was a resident there. I could tell you from personal experience that she's done a great job of not taking care of the property, having other people take care of the property. I mean, it's lucky to have the paint that it's on. I've watched county sheriff take care of work that they can. I can also tell you that any example of us trying to work with her or being mediated by the city working with her, it's for naught. There's garbage on her porch from 2018 that she didn't put there. She was trying to sell the house. Someone was trying to clean the house, and they weren't aware of the back taxes or the lawn mowing fines. There's literally no desire that we can tell from her to do anything but retain the property. There's nothing about improving it, getting it to code. I think any delay is a mistake, or any alleviation of the current bills. It's something that she did. And I think that the process that the city went through to get to this point of condemnation, it's by the law. Why would the law not be followed? When you create an exception, then other people ask for that same exception. And it's got to stop. I said at the previous meeting, yes, I'd like to acquire without, paying all the back stuff. But really, the biggest concern that I have is to get rid of the bad property, something that's an eyesore, not only to me, but to the town. The trolley goes right down. And I'm not a betting man other than a buck, but I put a buck down that no matter what she says, it's not going to happen. We're delaying the inevitable. So, any questions for me? And again, sorry to be personal, but yet this is a personal thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't get my taxes reduced.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to start no, he said, she said thing. I mean, that's the last thing I want to start here. But I think one of the reasons, the only thing that we was talking about, that I was personally talking about waiving, was if some of the mowing fees were the previous $300 to mow it, because that was unfair and unjust, in my opinion, that they were charging people $300 to mow. If it was
It was known, though.
It was what?
It was known by everybody in town.
Yeah, I understand that. But we're a different administration, and we agreed that 300 was too much. So that was why I thought that if we could look at some adjustment there in order to save the structure in the community. I mean, that's one of the things we talk about is, saving the tax base and things like that. So if we can work with the homeowner, and I understand it's been a lackadaisy type of property, but we're talking about getting funding and given 2 weeks, and if not, the way I understand it, the condemnation process will stand at that time, and we'll accept bids if she doesn't have the money lined up, everything lined up.
Yeah,
and
on
approved
that
by
day,
us.
at that meeting, we would be accepting the bid process and moving forward with all the properties that were voted on to move forward with condemnation at that point. So if we're showing a forward process at that point of, yes, you have the funding, yes, you're moving forward with the construction or the funding at that point, I think that this is a property with the way that our coast department has been restructured and the amazing work that Lyle's been doing. I think that if we're not seeing that, we're moving forward with that property. If we're moving forward with the properties that he's been looking at outside of the ones that were brought to us at the last meeting for condemnation. So I think we're looking at things a little bit differently than maybe we have in the past.
I would argue against that because you're allowing extra time.
We're not allowing extra time. We're allowing until we get the bids back to go in and demolish. And at that point, if nothing is moving forward, then we're going to have to move forward with. Does that make sense?
No.
With the demolition.
No, because you gave her time to get it up to code or it becomes condemned, and that time has passed. All you're waiting on are the bids.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I can understand that, but in my mind, I look at it like, as far as like the tax sale as an example, nobody pays their taxes on that list until the day of, and they run up the stairs and they hand them a check and then they scratch them off the tax sale. We've all been witness to that, and it's the process. And again, like I said, I feel like, as Lindsay said, we're just saying you've got till the date that we're going to either accept a bid or reject it. And so, I mean, I feel like that's given our last ditch effort to say, hey, this is go time.
It might be good to give a last ditch effort to someone that has a track record.
I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment personally.
Well, we can sit here back and debate. Right now, we're debating with that. Appreciate Jim. Lyle, do you have anything you want to say? Was there anything besides mowing that there's been cited for on that property? Roof or anything? Oh, sorry. That you can remember since you've been here?
So since I've been here, yeah, there been May of 2020 property maintenance. It's broken windows, roof, rotted siding. April 2021 property maintenance, roof, siding, porch, broken windows. May of 2021 weeds and unsafe structure. There are a total of 14 letters from 2017 to now that have been mailed to her. She has been cited 5 times from 2016 to 2017.
Have you seen any improvements at all in those?
I have not. From the code's perspective, we haven't seen anything, so we would like to see it proceed. with condemnation.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Thank you, Lyle. If not, anybody want to make a motion or?
Do we need a motion?
I mean,
We're not doing
if we're not
anything.
doing anything, we don't need a motion.
We're not
so-
doing anything, we're just giving direction for us to be able to look at it in 2 weeks and make a decision, yes or no. If we're moving forward, you would have to show us that you're moving forward with.
Haven't we already moved to condemn this thing?
Yes.
We've already done that.
So we,
Stands.
is the timeframe,
Because the bid
Stands for
come
2
in
weeks.
so we can say you're getting a bid to tear it down. That's all we're waiting for.
We'll make a decision in 2 weeks, and
I mean, I guess what are you hoping to see from her? I mean, what could she have to come back with that would say, okay, we're not gonna demo this?
I guess I mean, I don't know if it's just me personally, but I would think everybody was waiting to see if the financing was secure and if the contractor, I don't know how would you bring that packet in? From the bank, word from the bank to the city manager that it's gonna happen, and I mean, she would have to work with you to make sure that everything was a go, I suppose.
Well,
Bob, that's a question for you. I don't know.
and you saw the scope of work on that
Mhm.
proposal. Does that make that a prime property? You know, that doesn't seem like very much work to make a dump into a livable house. I think that we should proceed as we're doing. I think that's the law, and I think that's with the time frame that's been the 14 citations that you've given, and I think there's been ample time given, and I think it's time for us to proceed as we.
I mean, I agree. I
as
mean,
we
I think
state.
if Sarah, if you come up with something in the next 2 weeks that you think's gonna change our mind, get in touch with Mark McCoy and say, hey, the bank they put a $30,000 check in my thing and I've paid, I've already, something like that. But I mean, really anything less than that, I don't know what would change our minds.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute.
So if you have something that you think would change our minds, I would say get in contact with Mark. I mean, there's stuff you can do before that.
I'm with you, Josh. I think she's demonstrated a long-standing pattern of not upkeeping the property. I think it's a disservice to the community. I think it's a disservice to Jim, and quite frankly, I think it's a disservice to her. Her $25,000 could probably be spent a whole lot better someplace else rather than on this property that's going to be impossible to get up to anything, Pete. So I agree with you. That's where I am. All right. So we're giving her two weeks. We're just waiting for the bids to come in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just go standard quo, and if she has something that she can present.
If there's
in 2
significant
weeks.
forward progress,
I mean,
then that's what we're looking for.
yeah.
But
So, all right, on to new business. Mark, waiving of assessments. We added that first under new business. So there's nothing in the packet on. I think you just got it and asked to be added to the agenda.
Yes, so this process has taken place before. This real estate, help me with her name.
Diane Stryler.
Diane Stryler. She's been working very hard with this gentleman. They have a piece of property that's located at 11 North Holbrook. She has found a buyer for it, and the gentleman he wants to move in. He's disabled. He is agreed. He has an agreement with the owner to purchase the piece of property. I have spoken with the county counselor, and I've spoken with the city attorney here, and the county has agreed if this piece of property is going to be rehabilitated, that they will waive the county taxes, and our city fees and taxes is $300. So I understand in the past, this used to because this form said a community development person would sign off on it, and then the city manager would sign off on it. And my understanding is this was changed. So I'm bringing this forward to you, asking for permission for us to be able to proceed with this, so this person can take ownership of this property and rehabilitate it. And we would forego $300 in fees, meaning mowing and taxes.
I think on Third Street we had I don't remember what the stipulation was, 20% improvement. Do you remember what it was?
we should have it in our packets.
And
Diane,
it should be in that.
It's 80.
do we have that?
Which part?
Is that what, I think
We'll,
that's what.
we'll waive the
Mark's got
fees
the
if
form
they
in front of me.
raise, if they do so much
I
work
think
to
it's
the property.
First page,
First page? I
or
didn't know that.
second page.
Yeah, we did it for Diane on Third Street. We've done it twice before.
Submitted, wait a second. This is residential renovation, new property owner. All cited fire and the following requirements must be met for the waiver to be granted. And it says upon approval of the waiver, code assessment and code enforcement assessment fees may be eliminated. So for a new owner, it's different than a resident, like the current resident, in which I think is 100% waived, is what we agreed upon for new owners.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you think we have someone following up, make sure they're going to meet all those, because I think what it was, if they don't meet them, then fees would be added back on the
Yeah.
taxes. So
And this lady was Miss Stryler, the real estate agent. She's trying to help people in our community and help save properties. She's not making any money on this. She's doing this honestly out of the goodness of her heart.
and I think the county's already on board, so I don't see any reason.
But we need to monitor, to your point. So,
Yes.
so this would be another one of those things that I guess Mark's going to put it on his list, and I will speak with Bill Downey that we will monitor this. And as again, I spoke with Justin Meeks, county councilor, and Bob Farmer, our city attorney, and they're in favor of moving this forward. So I would ask for the commission to motion to approve this, or for me to have just signed it.
I would move to approve waiving the fee assessments for 11 North Holbrook.
Second.
Any other comments? No.
Do I have your permission to sign it once is that part of the motion?
Yes.
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 Oh,
Oh yeah.
I
Sure,
mean, I
well,
made the motion,
sorry.
but I don't know now. Yes, I would like to give Mark permission.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right. Consideration of airport engineering taxiway rehabilitation.
Okay, in your packet, you have a consultant agreement from Olson. I'm just going to read something and then I'll, so I found out today that this is from Seth Simpson, airport manager. I found out today that the FAA is no longer requiring us to perform an extensive testing on the original bid, told to us since it was just an overlay. So this may delay our agenda item if they make Olson redo the agreement and resubmit to the FAA, unless they allow them to submit it as is, with just removing the cost of the testing that they no longer have to perform. So what you have in front of you is a new agreement, but I will tell you that our city attorney has not reviewed it. He just saw it today. So I would ask that this be
5:30.
2 weeks.
so table till next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And did I just make a motion?
I was going to say, was that an official?
I make a motion to table it for 2 weeks.
There you go.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Lindsay Watts.
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. Consideration of engineering quote Cooper Avenue reconstruction.
Thank you.
I guess first, were there any questions on the proposal of the items?
We're not moving forward with this tomorrow, right?
Yeah, probably not tomorrow.
So are you asking if we're questioning scope of this service? Is that what you're asking me?
Right, yeah, if there's any questions.
Let me think how to couch this. The largest portion of this bid was the construction inspection and testing. Am I correct about that?
Correct.
And I guess I would ask that someone clarify for me where the position of city engineer ends and the position of contracted engineer begins in terms of this $125,000. I'm not sure why the city engineer portion of Earl's Engineering isn't responsible for part of that. And maybe I just don't understand. I obviously don't understand the difference where that begins and where it ends.
Right, so
Does
I
that
guess,
question make any sense? to
yeah,
anybody?
the key difference would be, so up until the point that it bids, this would be considered design services. And once it bids and they start construction, it turns into a different thing. It's construction engineering or inspection, so that's why it's different. However, I guess the trick is that can still be bid out separately and go to a different firm, and that's fine. And I went back and forth. Normally when we do a design contract, we'll put construction inspecting and testing on the end of it, but not quote it at the time of design.
Right.
So
I
that
think
they can wait. So it can be removed.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that we do look at that. We always ask for 3 bids and nothing
Right.
personal against you guys, but for us to just accept a $125,000 bid
right.
without talking to other engineering firms, I think is probably not the best plan.
And this is just
in
for
my opinion.
This is just for East National 20th Street, right?
No, this would cover from 23rd to East National.
That's what we asked you to do last time.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, let me preface part of that by saying, by the way, I appreciate your services and your expertise and your knowledge. This is not a judgment of that in any way.
No
I
problem.
understand it, okay.
Yeah, do we have to have a decision on this tonight? Or can we
We-
table this also?
If we approve in this fiscal year, then we have to be able to pay for it from this fiscal year funds. So keep that in mind. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So let's table it.
Yeah,
I'll make the
pending-
motion to
pending
table.
2 other bids, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Table this motion made. Get pretty good at that.
Second.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right, consideration of bids Union Loft Alley project.
If I could, I think we forgot also, the previous bids that occurred on Cooper Avenue
Yeah.
were never officially rejected. So maybe you
I thought
can do that. I think they kept being tabled.
I thought they were officially rejected because
Was it last time?
No,
how large they were.
they weren't. Okay.
We rejected
kept tabling.
rejected Horton Street.
You
Yeah.
rejected
Union
Union
Loft
Loft
and tabled
Yes. and you
Yeah,
tabled
Cooper
Cooper.
has been tabled, so I just want to make sure. I think your 60 days is probably past or close.
Okay.
So I
So-
just think officially, I would recommend you do that.
I would move to reject the bids for Cooper Street previously brought to our attention.
Second.
Second.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Pete Allen.
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
That was just for Cooper, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, Union Loft Alley.
Yep, so Union Lofts Alley was bid on the 30th. We did receive 2 bids. One from Heck and Wicker for $177,478.50, and the other from Rogers and Sons Concrete for $128,770. And I sent to the city a recommendation to award that to Rogers and Sons based on low bidder. And the only thing left, I think they were sent a notice, or that there's a notice of award for Mark to sign if it's approved.
Yeah, I was confused with that because when I first seen that, I was
Right,
like,
so
has
it's not,
he already
yeah,
approved
you
that?
still gotta
Because
sign it.
I haven't signed this.
right.
So-
I understand that, but I
Will
just
this
when you see it, in
cover
your
the street that I know you guys looked at it that one day. Will this cover the street leading across First Street?
The only person that I met out there on site was Jason Marbury prior to the bid. And, everyone's got different ideas. And part of the deal is, once you award the bid, I think a pre-construction meeting is needed to meet with, and maybe it's Jesse and myself and Mark meet with the contractor and kind of discuss these types of things, because what that would end up being is an overrun on concrete to do that. So
I was gonna say, though, in my world, those things need to be discussed before we award the bid to find out where they're beginning and where they're stopping.
right. So the way it normally would be, so the way it was bid or planned doesn't cover any additional work, obviously. So I think what needs to be kind of ironed out with the pre-construction is schedules and any, issues the contractor sees that have occurred since they put the bid. I know there's actually windows were put in on one of the buildings, so now there's a wall that wasn't there before. So there's some things to look at, but
Did we have any pre-bid meetings at all?
no.
I don't know, Mark, if that's something I would like to recommend as pre-bid meetings and all this. I just happened to be talking to Richie Forrester with Evergy today, and something that used to be done all the time with Evergy and all the utilities is, pre-bid meetings just for what ifs could happen. And they're more than happy to come to any meeting.
Absolutely.
Evergy would love to actually sit down before and not be called after in case something goes wrong. So you did have a pre-bid meeting? Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Are utilities,
Sure.
were utilities companies called in?
Yeah, what you're talking about is kind of different than a pre-bid meeting. It's more of a, before you start designing or during the design, you want a utility coordination meeting.
Well, and even people that might bid it, I think, like you said, each one has different ideas, and if that can help us set the scope of work, even, I know that was done in the past and done in other towns, and I think it'd be helpful on.
Yeah, and it depends, on a project that size, not necessarily a deal, and all the work that's been ongoing in that alley with utilities and the building, it's kind of.
Yeah.
Now, will he be hauling its own gravel and stuff on this project, or can the city trucks haul it and save money?
We'll see now. He didn't bid it that way. So.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking, trying to save money. Always looking out for us.
Pete, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm confused here. This is Earl's Engineering, or are we talking about Ag Engineering?
Yeah, the designer was Ag Engineering, and we were, as city engineer, helping administer the bid and the contracts. So.
And so the project will be under whose jurisdiction? Earl's or Ag
So
Engineering?
right. So what we're trying to do is help where we can. So technically, if it's a design question, it goes to Ag Engineering. If it's a construction question, we'll field that.
So you're recommending we approve this bid?
Yes.
I'd move to.
The other question I have is, so you guys this wasn't, so you're telling me this wasn't your estimation of the price?
Correct.
Okay, so you didn't miss it by $30,000?
No, but I might have. You never know.
Okay.
Hindsight says no, I wouldn't have, but.
Right. And you're not the one that chose the thickness of this print? Because this barely read this thing.
Right, it works better on the bigger sheet. I can pass this.
No, it's good. I finally zoomed in on it. I just gotta get the right distance.
So yeah, that's the engineer's estimate was from Ag Engineering.
Did they give a time of when they get started?
I've been trying to get a hold of them and haven't been able to. So.
What did I can't remember what our bid asked for.
It didn't specify. So if that's something that they can get to right away, that's great. And that's why today I sent the template for the notice to proceed as well with the date blank. So as soon as we get a hold of Rogers,
is it
we
smart
can discuss that and do a reconstruction meeting.
Is it smart to put anything in there about, I know a lot of construction projects put up, what's that called, when you have a certain amount that it costs you after 60 days or what have you?
Yes, we have that in there.
What is it?
Substantial completion, if they don't meet that, it's $900 a day. And then for final, it's $450.
But we don't have a start date, we don't have an end date.
Not yet. Let's say once we award it.
I did talk to Ron Rogers yesterday. He called, or maybe that was today. Anyway, I talked to him, I think it was today, and he He said he'd call tomorrow and see
Yeah, I was gonna
what
message him
happened.
right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you award the bid, we can move forward with the process, do a meeting, set up the schedule, and
So
kind
we
of move
wouldn't
forward.
need to set a schedule or a start date. We can just give that direction to staff to that.
Correct.
How quickly we would really like to see this done. I think that that's apparent to our staff. But, okay, I would second Randy's motion.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Pete Allen.
What was the motion, please?
The motion was to approve Rogers and Sons Concrete, their bid.
Well, I can't believe that we're spending $128,000 to pave a block of downtown alley that 2 years ago the estimated cost was $11,000, and that was what was committed, was $11,000. And how we can go from $11,000 to $128,000 is above and beyond my comprehension. I can't approve this.
Do you think this work can be done for $11,000?
I know that was the estimate. That's
did
what
you
the
agree with that
commitment-
estimate?
We said, I'm sorry.
Did you agree with that estimate?
No, I didn't agree with
Okay,
that estimate. And but that was our commitment to pave that alley was $11,000, and now it's costing us $128,000, and you know it's going to be the only alley in downtown Fort Scott that's got $128,000 pavement. You know, we've got numerous other alleys.
Is the alley before it paved?
Was it paved before?
Is the alley before the block before it's paved, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's concrete. You talking about the one to the north or south? This one to the south is concrete, and I believe the one to the north is asphalt. The way I look at that, Pete, was I think that when we originally got that estimate, we knew that was, there was no labor figured, there was no rebar, there was no nothing. It was a kind of all it was figured was the concrete. And I wasn't a big believer in that going on anyway, and we were going to accept a lot of liability because if the grades didn't go right and we flooded people's buildings, that was going to be an issue because of the city of Fort Scott did some undesirable work and hurt somebody's property, then we'd be in a bigger mess. So for to have a contractor fix it and to go with an engineer and a contractor, to me, obviously it is a ton of money, but I also look at the fact that there's been a lot of individuals put a lot of money in the downtown area, and that's going to be a busy alley running through drive-throughs and things like that. So, and I appreciate all the money that they've put into those buildings. So that's why, to me, and those particular buildings we're talking about too didn't get a lot of help from us. So I think that's okay in my book. That's why I justified it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the $10,000 quote was, that's how much the concrete would cost.
That's
not the actual total job. I mean, we're doing some plumbing work, drain work, and stuff like that as well. That wasn't planned for. And 2 years ago, we know cost of goods have definitely went up.
All that was concrete, and they said they could whip it in 2 pours and be out of there in a week or something like that.
Okay. So are you voting no, Pete?
Yes, I'm voting no.
Josh?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next item, consideration pay sketches hauling and excavation for the August. Mark, any concerns on this?
For the porta
Porta potties, sorry. Yeah.
No.
I make a motion to accept sketches hauling and excavation. Consideration pay.
This is a bid price. He has a bid on this. This is his bid price.
Correct.
Yes.
Second.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Brad, you want to get him? Okay.
Fridge. Right in the fridge. Was your Luther's barbecue in there? Give him a second to come back. All right. Consideration of recommendation from Golf Course Advisory Board to appoint Bradford Demo to replace Ben Cole on the board and Mark Lewis to replace Jeff Sweetser on the board. Any questions on that?
That'd be really too strong.
Thank you.
Yeah.
People on that board. So I would move we follow their recommendation and report and accept Brad Demo and Mark Lewis.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right. Approval of standard traffic ordinance 3590.
Good evening, Commission. We ask you this annually to adopt the new 2021 standard traffic ordinance. This is the booklet that all the officers carry with them in their ticket books that define and explain each traffic ordinance that we have and enforce. But every year there's some modifications to things. There's additions. There's some subtractions. So I'm just asking you tonight to adopt this for us to upgrade to the 2021 manual.
Is this updated? Does this have anything to do with the in the court?
No. So what I'll be doing here shortly is I'll bring another booklet up, and it's called the UPOC, the Uniformed. Diane, what is that?
Public Defense Code.
Public Defense Code. It's very similar to this. Has misdemeanor offenses in here, and then we'll delete some of them that's not necessary that we want to do in this court, and I'll ask you to adopt.
Is there any major changes in this one from last year?
In the 21, I have not gone through, but they list them all in the back, but I haven't gone through all of them. But we do need to adopt it because we want to stay with the current.
I was going to say the thing that all this little book does is make whatever changes in the traffic codes that the state has made. Right. And so to be consistent with state law, they produce this book and we adopt the book.
Move that we approve
Second.
the standard traffic ordinance.
Second.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. All right. Next is consideration of memorandum of understanding HR Director Shared Service, and I believe the county presented us a rough draft to look over, and I think this was just in here for review purpose, and then bring it back at the next meeting with the final draft. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, in fact, the county's not prepared to adopt this probably till December, they told me.
Right,
today.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's rough. There's some small language issues, but the content is fine.
Yep, I would say.
I'd say you just table it.
I want to table it. I make a motion to table it.
You're getting good at that.
I've been doing that a lot tonight. Let's make a motion.
Second.
Can we talk about just a second?
Yeah.
I completely agree tabling this. I thought this was one of the most confusing things I'd read in a long time. And I really didn't understand what kind of relationship this developed. Again, I am not against shared services. I'm all for that. But this one, to me, there were no numbers associated with it. I'm not sure what it does for Brad's schedule and his timing. And there were sections in it that looked to me like the county paid him and then paid us, so the county was paying twice as a county taxpayer. I didn't get that. Bob's gonna have to clarify that for me.
It's the same
easy.
thing that you've already done with Susan Bancroft. Exactly.
Exactly, because it's explained in.
That's why I kept saying
for how
she.
Susan
Yeah.
worked
I
was
think
different.
the difference was Susan's had the number in there when it came to us, and I'm assuming the
Right.
rough draft or the final draft.
Yeah, so we need to, because this has kind of unknown numbers about, and anyway, I thank
But
you for
it's-
tabling.
I mean, it's exactly the same thing.
It's so exactly that it called Brad she several times.
That's what I mean.
I called
It's-
her
yeah.
her,
Which
and
I'm
the
okay
and the
with.
finance director at one point, so I understood where it's
No,
coming from.
right,
But hers
right.
had clarity exactly how much was owed to who, when, and what, and where, and so we'll
Well,
have
there's
that.
no numbers.
We'll have that the next.
I don't know.
Well, come on, Bob.
Those numbers don't come from me. I'm just at work here.
Okay, I'm just voicing my
I don't set any-
confusion about
any
the
numbers.
about it, and my concern, actually for Brad, about the amount of time this sort of, and for Susan too, actually, the amount of time we're now demanding them. But anyway, I just wanted to put that on the table.
He's
No,
got
that's a
plenty
fair
of time.
question.
Are we going to vote?
Yes. This is to table. Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
I might just, I mean, all they're voting is just table.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let staff, when it's ready and we have numbers for you, bring it back, whether it's next meeting or the month, because the county is, they told me today, said, well, we're not even prepared to probably do anything till December, so
Right.
they're certainly in no hurry, and I know Brad's got plenty of things to do.
Yeah, thanks. But that's why I want to get that.
Oh,
out there
no.
So we could have clarity to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart too because Brad's just now getting accustomed, getting settled in, and
Sure.
everything here. It'd be
Sure.
crazy to throw him over there to, even more.
We have a lot, we have enough craziness going on over
Yes.
here.
Yes. Kumbaya.
All right. Consideration of Bourbon County Ready contract. Rob, do you want to speak on this?
I would just say, we touched base on it last meeting, and if there's questions for me, based off of what you have in front of you, be more than happy to answer those, but I would just leave it at where we left off there.
Is any commissioners, Randy?
Oh, yeah. I'm all for this too. I think it's great. In fact, I will say, I called Mark today and said, I hope we are willing in the long run to commit a lot more than this to economic development. We're going to have to. The one part that I misread, just in case anybody else misreads it, is the city will pay Ready $20,000 for these services in equal monthly installments. When I first read that, I thought we were agreeing to pay $20,000 a month for the next 4 months. It is a total of $20,000, just for clarity.
For this year.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're getting it.
For this year.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Every
It's just a
December
short.
31st. So I want to be sure it wasn't $80,000 for this year. It's $4,000 or $5,000 a month payments.
We saved you $60 already.
You've done
Prorated.
Thank you very much.
Prorated.
Does anyone else have any other questions on this?
No, I make the motion that we accept this and fire it up.
The ball tonight. Man.
Fired up. I'm making the motion.
Second.
Well, I have a question on
Of course you do.
this, and Randy may have already asked this question. I don't know. I couldn't hear him quite as well as I'd like to, but
I'm sorry, Pete.
the payments are to start the 15th day of each month beginning September 15th, 2021. Well, that's already passed.
Yeah.
And
He's already doing work.
Yeah.
The agreement expires on December 31, 2021. So that's just 4 months away, or 3 months.
Yeah, the 20,000 is for the 4 months,
Prorate.
September to December.
Right.
You're not, and then next year it'll be,
Yeah,
I believe it's 65 that's in the budget for next year, and that would be from January to December.
And I would think your board or
Okay,
you
so
would want
that's
to
why
know.
this expires on December.
That's correct, yes.
So there'll be a new one come January 1.
It's in your budget to be 65,000 come January 1. I believe. I mean, we don't have the MOU in front of us, but that's the way I understand it.
I would say this gets us started, and then I would
Absolutely.
think it probably first meeting in November, second meeting in November, come
Right.
back with next year's, and then,
Yeah, when
you'll
you'll have
have
the contract in
gives
advance
us a
of
month to
the
see if we're all
Yes.
worth it or
year,
not.
obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
At least you
You
should.
better have.
Rob's
should.
been working for us.
We'll tell you
Since
about it if
May.
we don't.
Yes.
Yeah, just
Been doing stuff for us.
I'm sorry, did you vote on this or not?
not
Yes.
yet.
I made
You
the
did.
motion.
Okay, so
Made the
next,
motion.
We
yeah,
haven't voted yet.
Haven't
Or
voted
no,
yet,
we
sorry.
haven't voted.
No.
Do you have any other questions, Pete? Sorry, Diane.
No,
Pete's-
that's
Pete's
the only
asking
question.
questions.
That's good explanation.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Pete Allen.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, the proposal was, and I believe the 2022 budget has $65,000 in it projected for services
Yes.
from Ready for 2022.
Yep.
I don't think that's there in front of you. I thought it was because I thought this was okay. So we'll come back in November with that for you.
Yeah, and the only other thing is make sure most of these contracts you work not for the commission, but for the city manager. I'm just making sure that's how it's set up, where he works under you and not necessarily under us.
Well, I work for Ready.
Yeah,
and
sorry, contract.
Yes.
Yeah,
is-
contract.
yeah.
The contract is, yeah. But I will come and if asked and report. Obviously, that's like I do now. So
Yeah,
nothing different.
perfect. Thank you, Rob.
true.
Thank you very much.
Next, discussion of land bank changes.
Yes, so I have I've had some conversation with more than one commissioner in regards to the land bank as it sits today. And so the Land Bank Board of Trustees, which consists of Josh Jones as the chairperson, Kevin Allen, Pete Allen, Randy Nichols, and Lindsey Watts, which are city commissioners, Jim Harris, county commissioner, is the vice chairperson. Greg Motley is on here. It says Bourbon County Economic Development Company. We still have Allison Turvey down here as the land bank manager, and you have Susan Bancroft as the treasurer. So I'm doing research on this to try to come back with you, and I'd like to try to do this as soon as possible to present an option or two for you. In most cases where this is set up, it's not all the commissioners on it. And we should have, in many other instances, I will say there are real estate individuals on there. There are banking institutions, and sometimes they even have a contractor. So that you have a varied group of maybe even an experienced business person. But also your treasurer is supposed to be one of the board members. So there's things in here that need to be addressed right away. So no action has been taken by the land bank in quite some time, and no meetings have taken place. So I'm asking for your permission to come back to you. First meeting in November. If I could do it sooner, I would try, but I got a lot I'm doing right now and still learning. And so I believe that this is important that you take a look at this to revamp it and go from there. So I would stand for any questions I would attempt to answer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know there's some towns that have the commission on there. I think Neodesha is strictly the commission. And I think the reason is it's not necessarily a board. It actually has power to do stuff.
Yeah.
So I would just make sure, how that, because that gets tricky if we're using city insurance and city coffers, but yet the land bank has sole decision power and not going through the commission. So I don't know if we can change it and kind of make it a proactive board, because I agree, we don't need to be on it, but we need to have people in the community. But yet if they're using city coffers, city insurance, then I think the final decision probably needs to come to the city commission.
And if I'm not mistaken, this specifies the number of people. So in doing that going forward, you could still keep 2 commissioners on there. Right. You could bring back other things that you want to have prior to committing funds or the adoption of purchases. It could be brought before the commission, just like other boards.
Yeah, that's how I would like to see it. If I don't know if anyone else has.
I would
The
make a
insurance
suggestion.
issue was, sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that the insurance issue was more because of how it was written, who owned the property. In the one instance that we worked under the land bank, in and out of, I feel like
Right. I just mean, I think the land bank's gonna come, and if the commissioner's not, gonna come say, hey, we need to waive fees, assessments on this, they're gonna have to come to the commission anyways, and so I just think that ultimately, I mean, the city's gonna be funding it at the beginning, hopefully not in the future. So that's my only concern, but I totally agree, I know that a lady at Security First would love to be on it, having some title experts, realtors, contractors.
Somebody from Security First.
Are you working on it?
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think the commissioners were assigned as a matter of expediency just to get the thing started, and it was never intended for us to continue to be the full board. And so, a couple of questions. One is the land bank? Is that me?
I don't know. Somebody.
Kind of way I sing. Is the land bank board responsible for restructuring itself, or does the commission do that?
You have to do it. You're the ones that created it. The board doesn't really function right now. You are the board.
Well, we're acting as a board. So do we do it? I mean, maybe it's just a moot point, but do we do it under the auspices of commissioners, or do we do it under the auspices of being land bank board members?
Commission.
I would suggest we schedule a meeting of the land bank and maybe invite the city manager to it, and schedule.
And the treasurer.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the interim city manager.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to add to that, that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, it
I'm
was my
here to
understanding
serve.
the city commission adopted how the land bank was going to run. The city
Yeah.
commission could take proposals on how we want to tweak and change that.
I think that's a good idea. Going to suggest that maybe, never mind, we suggested the meeting. So, okay, good.
Do you have would you like to schedule a meeting?
I'd say have Diane get with, I know Jim and Greg also to
Okay.
make sure they can.
Would you like to do it in the next 30 days? Or next 2 weeks?
Next 2 weeks is good.
Next 2 weeks. Okay. That helps us. Okay.
Okay, get with Greg Motley.
And Jim Harris.
Oh,
Jim
Jim
Harris.
Harris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone on the land bank board. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Discussion of creation of loitering ordinance.
Loitering, yes. I don't know if you're aware, but we have received numerous complaints over the last 2 weeks at the increase in vagrancy in the downtown area, especially the Pocket Park, just north here on 2nd Street, 1st Street. I'm sorry.
First.
Thank you. And we've received numerous complaints. There are people who are sleeping in the Pocket Park or just outside and outside the Pocket Park. They're spending all day there. They're spending multiple hours on the benches in front of businesses, and they're detracting visitors from town that want to go into those businesses. They don't feel comfortable. So we currently do not have an ordinance to cover that. And I would like to request that our commissioners look at adopting an ordinance for that.
There's nothing currently drawn up that you want us to review, or
I would ask the police chief to come up and comment also.
Right, so we don't have a state statute,
Is that on?
Yes, we don't have a state statute of loitering. There are some communities that have a loitering ordinance. Some are a lot more vague than others. If we adopt something, I want to make sure that it fits our need. I think that it's going to be a bit challenging enforcing a loitering ordinance in areas that are designed by the city to loiter. And so
that's funny.
You know what I mean? So
you're not funny very often. So that was funny.
Mr. McCoy is right.
Well, Travis, it's kind of like camping. We allow camping at the lake, but we do it for 3 days, and then you got to move along. You can't move in there. So I think
you pay a fee.
Right. So I think you would be able to. We want to give you something to hold on to, but yet not be mean.
Well,
people. You know,
That's
what I think.
No, I appreciate that. Because Mr. McCoy's right. I know City Hall's getting calls, dispatch is getting calls. There's some trash being left.
Is this something you think by next meeting you can come up with a general idea and say this is kind of what I'm looking at?
I think so.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think so. Diana's pulled some ordinances for us. Bill Downey found one out of Wichita. I think we can kind of make something that fits our need, our challenges, I think. So.
Chief Shelton and I talked about some wordsmithing of it. We just did not have enough time to bring it forward to you tonight. But again, there are. This isn't just a one-off. This has been going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And as we know, there's a difference between private property and having them trespassed. But they're going to go places, and so we need to think outside the box too, though, because this is a national issue. It's not just a Fort Scott
Absolutely.
issue. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I know I've worked in that area for a long time, and I know there was small auto mechanic shops and things like that in parking places, tents set up, and so. But I also have that human part of me that doesn't want to,
right.
As long as we got a place for them to go.
Thank you, Travis. All right, up next, discussion of purchase of potential rock crusher and also other miscellaneous equipment.
That would be Commissioner Allen.
Yeah, we just
and I.
Right. We just had a small discussion about possibly we could discuss tonight as far as meeting with the county. Sometime that'll be another meeting that I think we need to put together with them on possibly taking part in they're talking about buying a bigger rock crusher and how we can become involved with them in order to achieve our rock needs for things that we need to do. So I would like to schedule a meeting with the county.
Yeah, I know the county reached out. I mean, I think one of the commissioners wouldn't mind having.
Yeah, didn't we already do this several months ago?
Yeah, but we don't have any.
We sat right here and or were we out at?
No, it was here.
Was it here?
We talked about the rock.
We talked about the rock crusher, and we voted to do it, and I'm sure that we've already done that.
Yeah, I think we voted. We voted to send a letter of intent.
Yeah.
So we did do that, and I don't know if they
did we send it?
I don't know, but we voted to send a letter of intent.
Well, then I guess if we've done that, then we can direct Mark to get with the county.
Do you know, Diane? Did we send a letter of intent
for what?
Did we send a letter of intent
to look at into inquiring about purchasing a rock crusher with the county?
I would have to go back and
this
look.
probably would have been back in February.
I can't recall right off the top of my head. Let me go look.
But I think, and I don't know who would want to do it, but I think another meeting with the county. I think there's a few items that we need to discuss, and see what time works best for them.
Okay.
Well, Josh, we had mentioned that, a while back that we need to at least have a meeting with the county once a quarter, if not once a month, where we can stay on schedule with them, what their needs and wants and desires are as well as ours. I wouldn't even mind doing that with the USD 234 and other in the college as far as that goes, a meeting once a quarter to stay on track with them if they have things they want from us and things we want from them.
Are you so for clarity, if you want me to try and schedule these things, are you
work session, a city county work session?
City county work session. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So in reference to this February document you're talking about, once Diane finds it, are you wanting me, or do you want this to come back to the commission for clarity at the next meeting?
I would say, since we already did, if you could just send it out to us and refresh our memories of what we did and resend it to the county, because I don't know if all the county commissioners have seen it either.
All right.
Is the word.
Mark, if you have a chance to add an addendum to that, how it impacted by our current budget or where it's going to fit into our current budget, it would be interesting to know.
Yes. I mean, I do much of what I do is all done with and through Susan for verification on how we can afford to do this.
Exactly. So that's what I'm asking.
And so I know it's probably been a long time since there's been a city commission meeting without the finance director here. So I keep looking over my shoulder to get a question answered. Yes. She's a grandmother, and she's holding her first grandbaby, right? Yes, yeah. So,
All right, up next, discussion of Tri-Color Field Agreement. I don't know if this was in our packets, but I think we probably just need to table it. I know
it has not been reviewed by council, so we need to table this.
I make the motion to table it.
Second.
Excellent job, Commissioner.
You see how much faster it goes when you make the motion first instead of.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Lindsay Watts.
Yes.
Pete Allen.
Pete, she's looking for a vote.
Pete Allen.
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
No.
Randy.
Yes.
Oh, Josh Jones.
Yes.
Sorry.
Randy, you're speaking off the quiet.
My voice is going.
All right. And I don't think, Bob, I know, since we're down to the end, I'll just ask, do you have any comments or anything? Sure don't.
Can I go to the volleyball game and watch my daughter play?
Do we need to make a motion?
No. I'm just gonna slide in.
I'd like to table.
I move that you remove.
I'd like to table that.
Thank you, Bob. All right. Interim city manager report.
We have staff meetings for the department heads each Wednesday. They start about 9 a.m. And tomorrow I want to let you know that I'll be instituting a new reporting process. So this is for departments that function in the field. So what they will do each day is they will fill out what activities are going to be done by their individuals. This is to help me to be able to understand where our resources are being used, how they're being used, and are they being used efficiently. So I've asked for this. I'm going to discuss this with the department heads tomorrow. Now, this doesn't work, and it's not necessary for tourism. The gentleman operates out of the office, and here I'm interacting with him all the time. I'm not trying to do their jobs for them. I'm not going out to work with them in the public works area. But I believe it would be extremely helpful for me to be able to be part of their decision-making process and to learn and understand their departments, how they function and their needs. And I think it's also about efficiencies. And so this will be for all of parks, water, wastewater. Well, wastewater works out of the plant, but anybody working out in the field. So we'll have a structure on that. I wanted to report to you also that I have those numbers for you, Pete, that you asked for on the asphalt portion from the work that was done per the contract for South National. So I'd be happy to go over those with you if you want to do it after the meeting, because we're going to get done pretty quick and we'll have some time, if that's okay with you. Don't say that too soon. Because they're not done on South National. I don't believe it's done, and many other people have said the same thing. There was some rain. There was rain on Saturday, and Jesse can tell you they didn't call us and tell us they were coming. I mean, they said we'll probably be out, but if there's rain.
Yeah, and I think just for the public's benefit, I think it's wise that we're talking about this, because I've taken a flood of phone calls saying you surely are not going to sign off on that job that was done. And now that our city attorney is gone, I don't want to get into a libelous situation, but let's just hope and pray that they're going to come back and make some adjustments, because there's some bad spots that need addressed.
Sounds like Mark's on top of it.
And so I'm walking the project with Jesse and Jason and myself Thursday.
Awesome.
Yep. We did that last week too, and Commissioner Allen also came out and we walked the project.
Right.
So I did go out again Saturday for cones for safety, but they did have flag people this time. But
when you work Saturday, is that time and a half, or how's that work?
No, I don't get overtime.
Yeah,
I'm a contract worker.
I just wanted to make sure that was a trick question.
Yes.
Well, do we know, was it raining when they laid the asphalt?
Yes. Yes.
I can't hear you.
He can't hear you. Sorry.
About 450 feet of the top surface. The leveling surface was already down previously from the week before.
Do you understand what he said?
Yeah, say it again, Jesse.
About 450 feet of the last layer, the leveling surface, layer?
They put 2 layers down. So the
Perfect.
first layer was done. They just put the top layer on there in the rain.
You understand that, but was it raining when they laid that?
Yes.
Yes, that was the question. That's the 450 feet.
Anything else, Mark?
The Gordon Parks Festival is this Saturday. So we have a table there, and it's great to support the community. And please get back to me if you can make it.
Saturday or Friday?
The dinner is Saturday night,
Okay.
7 p.m. Anybody? Yes, I'm getting nods. So I'm going to be out of town Saturday. So let's see. Court expansion. I will be attending a meeting this Thursday, 10/7/21, for court expansion, 2 to 3 p.m. Diane will be there. Our Tiana McElroy will be there. And Diane, do you have any comments on this?
No, I think we've invited the city attorney also to prepare an ordinance because we're not going to pass the entire Uniform Public Offense Code. There's some items in there that our prosecutor does not want to try in this court. She still wants them to go to district court. So we're going to go over all those items, and then Bob will prepare an ordinance to repeal those sections of that. So it's getting very close.
Yeah, and this is great news because it'll be additional revenue, and we've heard estimates of possibly up to $100,000 a year.
If they will pay.
Right. I understand that. But if things go right, we could be achieving, another substantial amount of money to put towards the streets or
The lake.
You ever been to
the
municipal
lake or
court
the
on
golf
Thursday?
course. Huh? Yes, I know.
No one has money.
I know.
Just saying.
I've been. I used to come for entertainment. It was fun. It's actually fun.
Last but not least is the lake lots. So we had a meeting a week ago and visited with the real estate individuals. We redrew per last meeting. So that was done. They all have the lots assigned to them. We talked at that meeting that they would go live last Friday. There is still the concern that the 2 south lots have not been staked even through Sunday.
They're
out
not
there.
today.
So they're not staked either today. But that doesn't mean that the real estate agent can't show the lot in generality and to say it is surveyed, so it's approximately this area, and go from there. Now there's still a concern with the south lot that has some encroachment on it, and that needs to be addressed.
Is it possible to hire if contractor A is so busy that they can't get to the staking? Can we look at contractor B to see if we can get someone else to stake it out, or have we already paid contractor A?
I don't know that, but I'm going to take a note on whether or not they've been paid already.
We want to move along on that. If they haven't got time to get with us,
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If we haven't paid for it, it's not. If we have paid for it, we need to push a little bit to say we've got people wanting to sell these things. And if we have not, then if they don't have time, let's move along.
So we've contacted them, and 2 weeks ago they said they would be out. Now again, they keep using their rationale is they cannot get a GPS signal to be able to do it. And I know that there was conversation among 2 or 3 of the commissioners to do it the old way. It always worked. Why can't it work now?
Yeah, exactly. We don't. In my opinion, we don't need the eye in the sky to make it happen. They come out with tape measures and however they did it before we invented, this last dealy Bob. Yeah.
Dealy Bob. Okay. How do you spell Bob?
All right. Thank you, Mark.
I had one more thing, but I can't think of it, commissioners. I'll get back.
All right. Commissioners report and comments. Kevin?
Yeah, okay, so number one, I've got several of them. Travis, I don't know if this is for you or who, but I noticed we got a traffic counter on 3rd and National. What are we counting traffic for, and where are we at on that? My request? Okay,
Yep.
what's the numbers?
I have those numbers here, Commissioner. So westbound, 5796 for the total 8-day period, 725 per day. That's westbound. Eastbound, 1943 with 243 a day. Northbound, 16,218 with 2,027 a day. And southbound is the winner with 18,431 cars per day. Vehicle, and 18,431 for the 8-day period. 2,304 per day.
So that's 10 times, basically 10 times the amount on the, if it's 18,200, or on the 18,000 when you divide it up 2,400 and some odd, and there's 243 on the east. That's about 10 times the amount that's coming on the.
A 9, but yeah.
Yeah, 9, 10, whatever it is. That's quite a bit. And it was. I just kind of said it jokingly when I talked about taking the stop signs down that run on the north and south. And then as I come down through there and I think about how nice and smooth everything seems to be flowing with the 1st and 2nd Streets stop signs down, I truly believe that the 3rd Street stop sign, especially after seeing these numbers, that it should come down and make it an avenue where traffic flows freely at the 25 mile an hour. What is it down through there, Travis? Is it 20 or 25? 25? 30? Yeah, I think it's pretty safe. So after seeing those numbers, I mean, I know there's going to be discussion, but I would.
Well, I would say, you have 6,000 people almost crossing west, and only 16,000 going north, so that's almost
3 times or 2 times.
Not even, just a little over 2 times. Yeah. So you have almost just a half. 2 times, almost half the traffic still going the other way. So I mean, it's pretty comparable if you look at the westbound traffic compared to northbound.
I was just thinking, I've had a lot of citizens over the course of the whole entire time this has been a conversation, was that since the stop signs have been out, they very consciously drive down to that road to get onto National, because it is challenging to see around cars and to get out with the traffic. And it's that inconvenient that they're bypassing and going down to those roads. Also, I just kind of, with the church, with how populated that area is, and we have that much traffic going westbound, I don't necessarily think that that's, I would agree with you, Josh, that I think that that's enough traffic. That's substantial enough. Where's that going to back up to? Is that going to back up to the next stop sign while people are trying to get out? I don't know. I mean, how many people do you see over there? Do you drive that way? Do you drive east-west?
Yeah.
To come out of there? Because every time I drive by during the day, which is fairly often driving down to downtown, there is no parking spots at the church area. Between codes enforcement, and I encounter a lot of pedestrians.
Yeah, Lindsay, I've had calls, the exact same calls you've had. People in those parts of town, especially the west side, are driving down to get to that stop sign. The pedestrian traffic at the church is a problem. We also do feeding families on Wednesday nights. That's an issue. We're getting ready to also move this building over to the courthouse, and I'm not sure. I know the parking will mostly be on the north end, but there's bound to be increased parking traffic, pedestrian traffic on the south end of the courthouse too. I just think it's a mistake to stop to take those signs down, and I continue to think it's a mistake.
So yeah, I think I know how the vote would go. But your question was, do I travel that street? Oh my gosh, I'm on that street a lot, all day long, every day. I've never had a close call. I've never seen.
I'm not saying close call. I just want to make that clear.
I'm just saying, when we talk traffic congestion, I mean, I feel like I'm on the Andy Griffith show and talking about an intersection, because it's not a highly trafficked flow. That's not a lot of accidents there. I can't imagine. And maybe there is people that are going all the way down Main Street to try to get to 3rd Street to get across. I can't imagine that either. I mean,
maybe that's people that are calling us and tell us they're doing that. So
anyway, okay, moving on. Report. I would like to ask if there's been a report. We've asked at several meetings about a lake valve whether it's being exercised. Is it being exercised yet? This is one of the things that I really like is when department heads come to meetings. I love looking over here and seeing Jesse and Brad and Travis to where I can ask questions. I would think that it'd be really important for department heads, such as the water people or what have you, to be at these meetings too, to where when I have a question about is the lake being exercised, the lake valve being exercised, I can get an answer. Because some of the things we've been asking is this valve being exercised? Where are we at on putting a secondary valve on? And the other thing was, are we going to test the water? We have warnings out from KDH&E that still exist about algae. There's people at the lake that are reporting, different smells and things coming up. And I mean, it's a real deal. So I don't know whether we're testing the water at the lake.
We're not testing the water at the lake. I know that for a fact. And if you want to start doing that, just make an order, right, or whatever. You just tell me to implement it. There is a cost to doing that.
Right.
It's like $100. It has to be sent off to be tested. So,
and I
think
don't,
it's $148, but I'm not exact on that. And no, the valve is not being exercised for fear of it not being able to close because they don't have the other valve yet. So we had discussed. They're not here. We've discussed our new engineering firm taking over that responsibility and now becoming the engineering firm to work with us on the lake valve, or on the lake, period. My understanding was the other firm was not excited about working with us. Does anybody know anything about that with the other firm on the lake?
I've never heard anything about a firm working with us. We were just going to try to figure out how much it would cost to install a second valve, because a second valve could be more of a gate valve rather than the screw down valve like we have here. There's different options on the secondary valve just as a protection valve. And the only time I would think that we need to be testing the water is throughout the summer when we have people swimming in it. We have activity out there. I don't want people getting...
So do you want to test it like May through September?
I think that we need to start some activity like that, testing that water.
Is that a motion, Mayor?
Yeah, I don't know what the standard is. Do you test it monthly? Does it
I don't know either. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there because...
Will Mr. George have any insight on that, you think?
He could.
I'd say get with...
Do you know who that...
Yes, Don George.
Guy?
Get with, yeah, Mr. George, and see, what he recommends,
It's a great idea.
Beginning of the summer.
He is a fish guy.
Yeah, middle of the summer or something, and then I think that'd be best.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm going to ask on a chemical base. What is it? I'm sorry, Pete. I thought you were, but I'm asking what you're testing for because it's
probably bacteria. Because there was another. I mean, I'm just saying there was another news report yesterday. Someone dying from.
Well, I've heard bacteria and algae and all kinds of stuff here, and so.
Yeah. What's the
we need to know exactly what we're testing and what extensive it is, and what we're going to do with the test once we have it as well. So I'm not against testing it. You just need to know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think
that's questions that George guy could answer. I think.
And Michael too, probably. Yeah.
Well, you suggested I get with Don George, and there's probably Brown. Isn't Ronnie Brown on the state water board or something?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the only thing that Michael had mentioned was he said there was no reason to test it, and I think that the reason he was thinking that was because we purify the water once it gets to our water plant, right. But we still have people using that water and ingesting. Well, not only fishing, they're eating the fish, they're swimming, they're ingesting it. So there's still toxins that can be taken in. If you're asking why test it, so the next thing I have written down here was I felt like we need to. And I mentioned this before, and I talked to Jesse about it. We used to have a street patching trailer that would have our brick machine, like a chop saw for cutting bricks, packers, and all that. I'd like to put that back together, getting us a trailer that we could hook onto that would have all our tools, toolboxes, things that we would need to go out and patch streets that could be backed in the shop at night. Make something, nice that would have covers possibly. This is just a dream, I guess, and possibly we talked today about a porta potty on the front of it, because we send crews out to work all day in certain areas. And I think we probably spend a lot of our time jogging back and forth trying to use the restroom, and this would cut down on that to where the guys could be on the job for the whole day and not have to worry about moving back and forth and switching pickups to to use the facility if they had a porta potty on a trailer. The county just implemented this, and the state has them also. So I think that's another great idea if we could look into that. We talked about also the parks and the golf course needing a couple small trailers. So we're going to look for some small trailers for them to where they don't have to borrow each other's trailer and get it back by a certain time. I witnessed them the other day discussing, how soon can you have the trailer back? And I think it's unnecessary at the price of small trailers that we do that. So if we could keep on that. The next thing was the court thing we talked about already. I want to talk to Mark about, please get with Bill Martin and Bobby Reed about the inmates work on the streets. So I'd like to have a report back on that at the next meeting. The eighth thing I got a lot of them. This one is kind of wild. And Travis, you may be able to answer the questions. I talked to you a little bit about this week when we talked about at our schools, being grade schools, middle school, high school level. One of the big epidemics we have right now is these vapes, to where the kids are illegally. You got to be 21, am I correct, to have a vape? And this thing has run amok. I mean, a lot of people are busy talking about wearing masks at school and things like that. But really one of the bad things we have is these vape machines. And there's a ton of middle schoolers and high schoolers that are getting busted for these things. They have a machine, I guess, that detects them near the restroom or something like that. And they'll go off and it'll tell you whether or not these kids have a vape machine on them. And so they're getting caught with them. I know this because of a personal experience. And then the kid is delivered to ISS. He gets ISS, in school suspension. And then it's my understanding that they can pay a fine, the $100 fine. Do you, I talked to you about that. Did you get anywhere finding out who's fining these kids? I didn't know whether that's the city of Fort Scott or whether that's the school system or who's giving them a $100 fine. But the mark is $100, or they can write an 8-page report, is what I'm being told.
So I don't know. We have a fine in municipal court, or there's been cases where, the judge is, the kids or parents are, said, hey, we don't have any money or whatever, and they come down and wash police cars at the police station. I guess we have to get them in front of a judge with a citation, whether it be a fine or a more creative way to punish.
Here's what I'm thinking. First of all, I want to find out if this is true, if this $100 fine exists. Is it the city of Fort Scott giving it to them, or is it USD 234?
Do you know what our fine is for?
It's $100.
City of Fort Scott gives.
It's a violation of a city ordinance.
Okay, I understand. So the city of Fort Scott collects the $100 from the kids that pay the fine. Okay.
There is no court cost included in that, though. It's just the.
But they have to give $100.
Yes.
And okay, so that being said, my thought is that doesn't hurt the kid in middle school. I mean, I don't know very many middle schoolers that's going to come up with $100, but it hurts the parents. So now the parents are paying for their delinquent child once again, and the kid's thinking, oh well, mom and dad had to pay a fine. What I'd like to see reinstilled, if it's legal, is community service, to where these kids are actually punished for doing this, and they're learning a lesson.
I don't know that we can do community service for anyone under. Yes.
On community service, what's the age limit? 16? So we can at least.
We have some 13 and 14-year-olds that have been cited.
Saws. So is that something we could look into and find out what we could do to help? Because, I talked to Josh a little bit about it also. We have a little bit of extra money in the drug awareness program. And I think we need to look into teaching these kids how to stay away from those things. I mean, we've always had cigarettes. We've always had marijuana, whatever, that there's always going to be people flirting with. But these things are highly addictive, and they think there's nothing to it because it's vapor. So I think we need to look into some sort of program that keeps these kids away from these things that we can go in and teach at the grade school level even.
Every once in a while, a parent will come in with their child and that child will come in and make payments on it. They'll say, this is my child, and they're gonna pay this off. I've got them working at home, and they're getting, doing
Allowance.
extra chores and stuff, and we will take payments on it. So if a kid will work it off,
And I do know Mark, and I know you're busy anyways, and I had a chance to reach out to the vice principal at the high school, but they have a program they're working on, and I was gonna reach out to him, but I didn't know if you could, or maybe schedule a time, because they have some stuff they're doing with vape programs that I think we could help with.
College did?
What's that?
Who'd you say did?
High school vice principal. He's working on some stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, just maybe if you guys could work together on some things that are available to burn through some of that drug awareness money on teaching these kids this isn't cool. So I think that covers that part. I had a discussion with a gentleman, and I just kind of want to throw this out there tonight. And we've talked about selling lake lots, and this is a different idea because this gentleman is a frequent flyer at the municipal airport, and he said that a new concept in some of these small towns is they're actually buying acreage on the airfield to build hangars. And they're building these small hangars, and when they do, they put living quarters in these hangars. So there's groups, just like there would be a motorcycle gang, there's airplane gangs, and they fly in, and every Saturday they fly up to Osawatomie and they eat breakfast at that little restaurant, and it's becoming quite an attraction. And they said there would be a big market for property if we had it to where we could actually sell those properties to build hangars on, to where they could come in and place their hangar in their property. That would create, we could create money off the sale of the property, the taxing of the property. There's a lot of revenue to be made. And one of the things he said that's really attractive about our airport, that's not about any other one that he's ever been to, is when they fly over the lake. He said people talk about that all the time, how it's so cool to be that close to a lake. So I think you would attract a lot of people with planes that would say, we're going to build this hangar with living quarters, and we're going to have our boat in it. We're going to fly in. We're going to enjoy the weekend at the lake, and then we're going to get back out of here, shop downtown, eat in town. I think it's something we really need to look at. We have now, on the east side of the airport, the runway, we're haying that. We're not even mowing it now. So there's a lot of property down through there. There's property on the west side of the airport. I think it's just something worth looking into to, maybe create more revenue. Interestingly enough, moving on, I've been talking for 10, 15 years about working with the county on the dump. Working with the county on free landfill fees and things like that to help offset our houses that we demolition, because that's a big expense on it. It's one of the biggest parts of it. And working last week with some individuals, I found out that we own 13.8 acres at the Bourbon County landfill. The city of Fort Scott already does. Very interesting. So I want to enter that discussion as to whether we create our own C&D landfill. That could be part of what we work with the county in our discussions, is maybe possibly looking at a trade out for the land, to where we could possibly trade the land for X amount of dumping, so on and so forth. Yeah. And I mean, but it's really cool. I mean, it's actually at the south end of the landfill.
So does the commission want me to get with the county to work on that, or do you commissioners want to take that challenge on? Why do you want to do that?
Either way, I mean, I say since you're maybe approach it, which I think they kind of know. I know Kevin's reached out to him.
Yeah, I reached
out to him. Maybe it'd be another topic for our work session.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah, with the county work session. Yeah, okay.
I thought I already said that, but that's a good idea.
Not that item.
Oh.
We'll add that to the county work session.
Yeah. The next thing was I wanted to discuss a setting down with the rural water department. I've mentioned also at meetings that when you live outside the city limits and you have rural water, if you have a leak, I visit with people all the time, and I just visited with another gentleman the other day that his water bill was $1,200, and there's no break. You're given an option. You got 90 days to pay the water bill. If it was $1,200, $2,000, $10,000, it doesn't matter. You get 90 days, or you're going to get your meter shut off. inside the city limits, we work with people. Diane, you could attest to that. When people have a water break, standard is we'll knock the bill in half. You bring the plumber's bill in. You prove that there was a leak and that it's been repaired, and we're going to immediately knock it in half. And we've even been known to work more with people that have a extreme amount. I mean, there's been special cases. So my suggestion is that we either meet with as a group, or I thought maybe Mark and myself, the mayor, whoever, could meet with the water board, with Rural Water, because it's really kind of a tumultuous deal. They're saying we don't want to give our customers a break because you're not giving us a break. And if the city's not going to give us a break on the water, we don't feel like we should give them a break. I understand that concept, but what if we pass the break along? If we say, hey, this person in the county had $1,000 water bill, and the city is willing to forego half of it to help them out.
I think Susan said a few weeks ago it's probably time to review the rural water district water contract. So maybe we can bring the whole contract up for review and have some discussion on it.
Do you want that to come at the next meeting?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know what's in it or what. I think you and Susan probably get together and see what, But I think in order to have a legit contract, it's got to be renewed.
Was there some conversation about you reviewing on a cycle every 3 years? So you would schedule one this year, one next year, one the year after that. So every 3 years, you're always reviewing every contract.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's something when I started to ask for, I think we need to review every contract at least, some of them yearly, but at least every 3 years. And that's how I think that's how one reason it got switched to insurance, is that there's some contracts we've had for 5, 10, 15 years that have never been reviewed.
Well, we're working on the ADM contract to bring to you for that water disposal.
So moving on, is the First Source building out there? Is it on any kind of website for sale or anything like that? Is it ready to go? Have we had any?
So it's been assigned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I was working on that with Susan. I don't want to misstate the real estate agent that has it.
Okay.
But I thought we already assigned that to a real estate agent.
We did.
Yeah.
I just, I didn't know whether they got it out.
I don't have a report for you tonight. I will get with that real estate agent and see where we are.
Okay. I just knew the bills and stuff's going to be going up coming into winter. The quicker we can, have some movement on that building, the better, probably. Also, I wanted to thank you for getting the weed sprayed out at the lake on the east side of it. I guess you had that sprayed, maybe?
No? I did.
Okay. That that brings up my next two things. Was just, do we plan on going back out there and finishing the ditch up on that side, which is going to be the east side of the lake, where we was lining that ditch with the rock, and then continue to?
I wasn't involved in that process, so if the commission want me to address that, I just need to know specifics of what they would like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could just meet you and tell you where. It don't matter. I mean, but if you need my help, I could show you exactly.
What does the commission want me to do?
I would. I'd say you get with Skitch and.
Yeah, there was a processor out there, and they were starting, and they just kind of stopped, and so.
Yeah, they had a list of items they were going to do, and then it just kind of.
Okay.
So yeah, I can get with you and
yes,
show you what it was.
Okay.
And I got two last things. The road we had mentioned before, the road by El Charros and Peerless and Fastenal and the hotel.
25th Street.
Mm-hmm. Is there any movement on it? Are we doing anything? I mean, it's still patched up decent right now. Are we keeping an eye on that?
Aren't we waiting on easements to be signed?
I thought
Bob's office has sent out easements for that, for the city to take that road over.
Okay.
I think we're waiting on signatures.
Okay.
Bob question.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. That's an update.
But we can get him to answer that.
Yes.
Sure.
Made note.
The last thing I have is street lights. I had an individual contact me this week and said there's a lot of street lights around town that are out, and if you call Westar, they'll fix. I guess it's still Westar. Evergy. If you call Evergy, they'll fix the street lights. They have like a number on the pole or something like that. I think that'll track them.
Tag.
So
especially on the highway, because my dad's been on me for 2 years at 3rd Street, and the highway. That is one of the darkest.
Yeah, and it's out.
intersections. It's been out for. You have to ask my dad because.
So if we could create through the Facebook, city Facebook page or what have you, maybe to report outages.
See, click, fix.
Or, I mean, that's a good idea. If we even on the city Facebook or website, if we can just put that number down.
Yeah.
And I think each poll's identified, but I think they'll still fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
An address. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Okay.
The guy that brought it to me, I mean, questionable, but
Are you suggesting I work nights now so that I can verify those light
please
poles?
do that. Please do that. And I think that's all I have. Did you want more?
No, thank you.
Somebody dared me to open my book.
No, I think those are very important. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Sorry, is that if the commissioners can get with me before the meeting, it would help me to be able to bring answers to you either before or at the meeting. And I brought you some answers tonight that you had asked.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit behind because we didn't have our financial director to help me answer any of those questions.
Yeah, Mark and I had several questions and we worked really well together and it was cool.
Really?
I appreciate you. Yeah, I really do appreciate you working with me.
I want to try and get your answers to you. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I know who to get them from. But if they're not here, it's a little difficult for me to get you the right answer. 614 tons is the answer to how many tons of asphalt we got. Yeah, excluding Saturday, right? Yeah, excluding Saturday, 614 tons.
All right.
You probably have another question, though.
No, that's all right.
Okay. I can answer it.
You done?
I'm good.
All right.
I knew that one.
Pete, do you have any comments?
Sorry.
Yeah, yes, I have comments. I want to talk about the City of Fort Scott Comprehensive Plan. And I know Rob has made comments about the comprehensive plan, but I want to know, has anybody on the commission read or know about the 2018 City of Fort Scott Comprehensive Plan?
Yeah, I was actually on the planning commission at the tail end of it when they adopted it. So
You were on there?
they just finished it up as we were adopting it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, this is do you remember who was the engineer on that?
I don't. It was done. They were just putting it into book format by the time I was done.
Okay.
There was not an engineer. They did it themselves and updated the previous one to save costs and not. They had hired a firm before when they did the first one, and so they did not hire the same firm. They just took that book and updated it.
That's
and
right, because it took them.
Each group, it took about a year.
Took about a year
but
for them to do.
They
That's
kind of
right.
divided into twos, and they updated each chapter.
Okay, well, I want to express how important this comprehensive plan is. I want to read a little bit, a few paragraphs out of it. And just to tell you that the comprehensive plan, the purpose of the plan has a number of characteristics. First, it's a physical plan. It translates values into a scheme that describes how, why, when, and where to build, rebuild, or preserve the community. The second characteristic is that it's a long-range design. The plan expresses current policies that will shape the future rather than show a rigid image of the future itself. A third characteristic of the plan is that it is comprehensive. It covers the entire city. Fourth, the plan is a statement of policy. That's the governing body's responsibility. This plan is a statement of policy by the governing body. And finally, the plan is a guide to decision-making by the Planning Commission, the city governing body, city manager, and city staff. It's a guide to decision-making. Some of the items Chapter 5, I particularly want to dwell on. It is infrastructure and transportation. And in the first paragraph, it makes statements like meeting the needs such as water, sanitary sewer, and transporting goods and people within the community are basic functions of any city and are critical to maintaining an adequate quality of life for citizens. So when you ask me what quality of life issues do I want to give up for better streets, I just want you all to know that we have given up quality of life as a result of ignoring our infrastructure. And I don't, I don't like that. A vision statement in this plan, and it says Fort Scott will be proactive in the provision of utility and transportation infrastructure at a level that will support the desired rate of growth of the community. And it goes on to say the city of Fort Scott has studied major infrastructure over the years through a variety of master plans and specific engineering reviews. And these studies provide for management and growth of the existing transportation systems, water and wastewater management. We dwell on water, we talk about water, and a sound water system is crucial to any community and its ability to grow. Water supply, storage, and distribution, including water flow, must be considered not only for meeting the needs of citizens on a daily basis, but also for firefighting abilities. The city studied in 1998 a distribution study. We talk. The plan talks about all the good things that Fort Scott has in its water. The water plant is modern. It's a great water plant. The watersheds that we utilize for the city of Fort Scott, the lakes that we use for water supply, the Marvin River. These are all top-notch facilities. But the thing that is missing is our distribution system. And the distribution study was conducted in 1998, and it was originally necessary as the system was not performing as needed, with water loss identified, tower capability shortfalls, causing low water pressure throughout the city. And it also went on to say that enlargement of the lines were reported to be necessary. The projected needs indicated that our water rights were sufficient, and we've done some distribution lines around the middle school, and around the industrial park. We built a new $750,000, 750-gallon water tower, and it included 24-inch lines. So what I'm saying, we have this great system, but the projects remain to be completed is our distribution system. And that's where we come into play. Our distribution system is old, antiquated, leaking, needs to be brought up to the standards that our water plant and our facilities are. And so that's why I'm so, I know that Michael Hoyt talked about the transferring of water funds from the water to the general fund, and this plan right here is just further implements that says let's fix our distribution system. We have no master plan right now for fixing our water lines. We have no master plan right now for fixing our sewer lines. We have a master plan in effect for our stormwater. We have no real master plan in mind for our streets. All these items are what we're missing. We're missing now this plan. We're never going to get anywhere unless we make a plan. And transferring the money from the fund to the general fund is, according to the ordinance or the statute, is illegal. And so you know, we have all these tools to work with. We now have an engineer on staff. This is something that we haven't had for many, many years. We've hired individual engineers to do certain specific projects, but here now we have the engineers that we can do anything we want to do: water, sewers, streets, storm sewers. We've got the professional people now that can help us. But what we've got to be able to do is to fund the projects. And so that's why it's so important to keep the money in the fund that generates the money. That was the intent when we started charging water. The intent was to use those funds to supplement the plant, to make the plant work, and to keep the plant going. And so I just want to stress how important it is that we use these tools that we have, use our engineers, use these plans that we have here, the comprehensive plan, use these items and make our decisions based on facts. And we need to be proactive. We don't need to be reactive. We need to be proactive. We need to define what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it, and say, here's the money to do it with. And we just got to stop being reactive and start hitting these things up front. But that's what the comprehensive plan will do for us. And Rob, I know that you've got a lot of things about the comprehensive plan that you're working at too. But one of the things the comprehensive plan says is that we will make repairs. We will figure out what we're going to do, and we're going to use state funds, federal funds, any funds that are available. In the past, as I see it, we borrowed money. We borrowed money to do all these jobs and projects. We borrowed money. That means we have to pay it back. But if we instead of borrowing money, we go after grants, then we don't have to pay it all back, and we just have a tremendous leverage there. So we just have to go after more grants. We have to get these projects shovel ready, and make these plans. We've got to get these master plans going, you know, this is what our job is. Our job is to do that. And why we haven't looked at this comprehensive plan in the past, I don't know. Rob, you want to?
I was just going to point out.
Is your mic on?
Take that one.
Is this on? Oh, yeah, that one's on. I was just going to point out, too, that recently, last week, the county approved $40,000 more to come to Ready for us to hire a grant writer. So you brought up grants. I just wanted to point that out, that when we get to that point and we have someone hired, that individual will be there to write all your city grants as well. So.
Well, I think
that'll be something we
preliminary
can provide.
to writing the grants is projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have the project to go for the grant, and that's where we have to start. That's all I got.
Lindsay?
Do you want to?
So you don't
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Randy?
A couple things. First off, I agree that that's a great visionary plan, and I kind of feel like I've been begging for 2 years for us to put actionable items to it and actually come up with an actionable strategic plan that marches down through all the things Pete just listed. So I hope that we'll continue to do that. That my other side, thanks to T-Mobile, there's a few people at the meeting tonight $50,000 grant for community, I'll call it community development issues. And just an aside to that, people need to know how that came about. T-Mobile was actually introduced to Smart Growth America, and and through that came this program for a $250 million contribution across the country. 3 people, Larry Gasway, Allie Turvey, Rachel Pruitt, were responsible for that action. And I just thought that was pretty cool that from little old Fort Scott, $250 million being contributed around the country for reasons. Good program. Thanks to T-Mobile for doing it. I quit.
Yeah, I don't have much. Just a few things I had down. Mark, Lake Valley, we already talked about the policy on the city manager to raise fuel allowance and on his own without going through approval. We talked about last meeting. It's under my comments. Point of sale system. I know Susan's working on it. The only other thing I had is Travis, SRO officer. Any update?
I actually don't know. I don't have
Okay.
anything. I should find out something any day now.
Okay. And then the other thing, NRP. I seen, Rob, did you say something to the county today on NRP? I know ours have kind of expired. We've let it drop.
So, yeah.
I think the more we twist it.
Hello. No, it worked. I just hit the button. The city's NRP is not currently valid or up and going. So it's been brought to my attention. The county has offered, and I think this is probably the best way to do this, is what we're going to probably end up doing is just do a county-wide NRP that would also encompass the city of Fort Scott. And so instead of having 2 NRP programs, one that for just residents inside Fort Scott and one outside Fort Scott, we're just going to do one countywide NRP. It'll be the same program. The only thing that we would ask is that the city continue that we would do the same that you do in your historic district of 15%, which is or 15 years, excuse me, like you do currently for the historic district. And so that's the only thing. We still go through the same process. We'll go to the school board. We'll go to Uniontown, since it's countywide as well, 234, 235, the college, the city of Fort Scott, and the county, and then the other municipalities as well. But so the way I understand it is the county's willing to just kind of go back to the drawing board, revamp theirs to include Fort Scott.
Do you have any kind of time frame?
Very quickly, because there are projects right now as we speak on hold because the NRP is not currently up to date. And so
It's the
neighborhood revitalization program.
Allows you to increase by so much.
Yeah, if you have a 15% increase on your property value due to renovations, or somebody buys a commercial building or residential. Commercial is 10, residential is 5. Is that correct? Yeah. And then a historic district is 15 years for that you get that abatement on the increase on your property taxes. So it's a great program. It's just not currently valid inside the city limits of Fort Scott. So the way I understand, the county is going to go ahead and do that. They're going to do a county-wide one though, so it would encompass Fort Scott as well. So if that's what you guys want to do.
Well, yeah. And I think that's all I had. I know Kevin was going to say something about Alan and Jackie Warren by how much. So, well, you forgot. You weren't in here. So, oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna. Josh, we're gonna put something together.
Yeah. All right. For
Non-elected person.
all right, who's in the meeting?
The commissioners and the city. How long? 20 minutes at most.
I move the city commission recesses an executive session for the purpose of non-elected personnel Personnel matters of non-elected personnel, exception in KSA 754319B1. In the meeting will be the 5 commissioners, the city manager. The open meeting will resume 15 minutes, 8:55 in the city commissioner.
See you, Rob.
Yes. Second?
Yes. Randy Nichols. Lindsay Watts. Yes. Josh Jones.
Yes. Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Randy Nichols? Lindsay Watts?
Yes.
Pete Allen?
Yes.
Kevin Allen?
Yes.
Josh
Don't let Pete-
Jones?
Yes. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Kevin Allen?
Yes.
Pete Allen? Randy Nichols? Josh Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.